This is Liberty Underground with Alex Snicker, Danielle Alexandra, and Greg Bowen on the 1787 Radio Network.
Well, good morning, Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, the entire state of Arkansas, everybody in Butte, Montana.
That's a new one.
In New York. Are you doing up there? You doing good? Everybody in Boston, Massachusetts, go get that clam chowder. Get in the car, go to the bar, get a beer. Everybody in Bangor, Maine. I think Bangor, Maine, right?
Yeah. Busting out the Stephen King.
Yeah, Bangor, Maine. Everybody worldwide. Everybody over in Saudi Arabia that's listening. If there's anybody listening in Saudi Arabia. If you are listening in Saudi Arabia, or anywhere else for that matter, you can call 1-800-525-4032. That is the Refresh Telecom line. The number being 1-800-525-4032.
That is amazing that you did that so early.
No, I'm pretty proud of myself, actually.
He actually gave out the number.
I'm going to do it many times today, even though the likelihood of somebody calling is not very.
And then if you do call, he may not take it.
That's true.
And I might lose him, transferring him.
Yes.
Be like, oops.
So my name is Alex, though. I am the co-host, Liberty Underground, taking it back week number 2 from the tyrannical regime of the Wiley. Glad that we were able to get rid of that guy from being on.
And
there.
he has rained his terror on other media outlets this week.
So he decided to crash other things, like all the reporters are getting together down in South Florida. So he's like, I'm going to just show up.
Well, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that here in a second, though. In studio with us, though, is a woman that is the Duchess of doing stuff. So, like, if you're looking to do stuff, she's the Duchess of that, and she's my own personal Wikipedia. Her name is Danielle Alexandra. Good morning, Danielle.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
You doing good?
I am.
Hey, Scotty, you doing good?
I hate when you do voices, by the way.
I know you do.
That's why he does them.
That's okay. It's still a good time. Also in studio, back from his trip from the Sinister, Greg Evil Bowen, the Prime Minister of the Sinister. How are you doing, sir?
Spectacular.
How are your braids doing?
Real good.
Let's get a mic. Get a shot of those braidies right there. Now you can undo them though. They are not dreads.
Right.
So that means you can save your hair.
Yes.
Well, and that's good too because you give your hair to Locks of Love. If you would have done that's just freaky that happened behind you. I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but the what do you call that thing?
The blinds.
The blinds went up.
Shade, yeah.
I wouldn't even call that a blind. That's
It's
more
a
of like
shade.
a piece of plastic that that stops light. That's all we can really call that thing right now.
So left out of the 21st century.
Yeah. Well, it just went up like on its own as you were talking to Greg.
Yeah, really did go. It kind of freaked me out to the point where I forgot what I was even saying.
When you were introducing Greg, you were actually talking about how he donates the hair to Locks of Love.
Oh yeah. He donates his hair to Locks of Love. I mean, that's dedication, folks. You know what I'm saying? Now, could you do me a favor though? Next time you do it though, when you do cut your hair though, shave all of you give away what you're going to give away, and then shave all of it except for a mohawk.
I've considered doing that.
That goes all the way though. Mm-hmm. And then next time, only grow your hair in that area and give away your Locks of Love that way.
Well, no,
they'll get less. They'll get less, but
they'll get a lot less.
I'm
make it a big mohawk.
I'm not trying to donate a wig for a hobbit. I mean, I want like
it's not like a Barbie wig.
Barbie
they
wig.
need a full head of hair, man.
Like for a Barbie doll.
All right. Well, will you wear a mohawk for like a month though?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll even do Liberty spikes.
What does that mean?
Where they do the big spikes.
The mohawk with the big spikes.
Those are called Liberty spikes?
Yeah.
Yes. Like the Statue of Liberty has the spikes around.
Oh, okay.
Hence
all right. Hence the name. All right. I hear you, man. I hear you. Well, I hope everyone's doing well. A lot to get to, a lot going on out in the world of world out there. I think that we're going to start with the Wiley, though, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we are.
We had that discussion, and Wiley won.
We did. We flipped a coin. No. Well, Adrian, who had, is obviously running for governor. He was,
Of Florida.
he not only did he see it fit to take over and just completely throw us out of our own show for a week, but he has decided to take that battle on to every other media outlet. Which I'm only kidding. We were going out of town. We asked him to cover, but
You could have kept that going. That would have been fun to keep going.
Yeah.
She broke kayfabe.
I did.
Kayfabe.
But so every year the Florida Press Association and the Florida News organizations have a conference down in South Florida, and they do this every year. This isn't like something that is only because it's an election year. They have a conference every year, but when there is an election year, during their conference they hold a forum with some of the higher offices.
Yeah.
This year being governor.
Yep.
So now in May, Rick Scott actually turned down the invitation to go there. He basically said that, they're not looking to be on stage with any other candidate until the fall. And
Hold on. I know we got a whole lot of the story to get to, and this really isn't part of the story that we
Right.
need to talk about, but this needs to be discussed right now. Seriously, folks, Rick Scott thinks so little of you that he is willing to just say ignore any kind of outlet, whatever, to get the word out about what he's doing in office or anything like that. Like, he's not proud of what he's done. Either that, or, and again, people may not be happy that I say it this way, maybe he's just not intelligent enough to go on the stage to explain it.
well, I mean, there's definitely media outlets who have called him out on the fact that he literally sticks to his talking points to the point where he will almost pretend like he didn't hear a question and come back with an answer that makes no sense compared to what he was asked.
Yeah. No, that's very frequent.
It was, and I think I remember one where it was like, Governor, what would you, have you looked at the issues down in South Florida with the Okeechobee and the runoff going into the estuaries? And his response was literally like, that's a very serious issue, and that's why we're bringing jobs to Florida.
And let's get to work.
Yeah.
And the reporter just went and was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what just happened here?
And that exposes the problem in our media, that they should have the testicular fortitude to go, sir, you did not answer the question. Could you please answer this question? And they don't. They never do.
Well, there's
Some
a
of them
couple.
have.
Noah Pransky.
Yes.
Pransky did.
Well, yes.
I mean, that dude's...
There are local media outlets.
Right.
There are individuals,
but
especially in local...
The big namer's nothing.
They
Yeah.
don't do it.
You're absolutely right about that, by the way. Big namer's nothing.
So, he did not address the press in whole. Rick Scott did not. Now, Charlie Crist and Nan Rich were both invited. Now, there was a little controversy over whether Charlie was going to go because he did not. He also had an issue appearing on the same stage with other candidates before the fall. He would appear on stage with Rick Scott, but refused to appear on stage with Nan Rich.
So what ended up happening there? Do you know?
Yes, I do know that eventually...
Do tell.
Charlie Crist did, and his campaign, not him personally, but his campaign threw enough of a fit to get Nan Rich moved to the next day. So Nan Rich is actually speaking right around this time. I think maybe at 9:30 she's actually speaking because it's a 2-day conference.
What a scumbag Charlie Crist is.
Yeah, he got her time moved.
Like, that is such a scumbag move. Look, man.
And not at all surprising from him.
Look, if you're a Democrat, man, you better vote for Nan Rich. That's all I'm saying right now. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a Democrat, then your vote needs to go to Nan Rich. You can't let the former Republican governor, who acts like such a douche
And a diva.
and a diva douche, you can't let this guy win your nomination. You got to give it to Nan. I mean, for your own pride's sake, please, people, have a little pride about yourselves and don't vote for Charlie Crist. I mean, really, this guy is such a tool.
For your own credibility as a party.
Yeah.
And as much as you all hated him 4 years ago, go back 4 years, go back 6 years, go back 8 years, you all hated him badly. There was a lot of venom from the Democrats toward Charlie Crist. And well-deserved, not saying that it's not, but how are you going to turn with all that hate and go, he's our nominee. I'll vote for him in the primary over somebody that's been a Democrat for decades and represented you as a Democrat.
Leadership within the party. Yeah.
You know what, man? It's just one of those things that Are you that willing to win or to try to
sell
win?
out to win.
Like, are you willing to sell out completely in order to win this thing? I mean,
We'll find out in August.
yeah, we are going to find out in August. I mean, look, and Charlie Crist is going to win the thing, and the reason Democrats are backing him because he raised more money for Obama. Like, he raised money for Obama. And honestly, he went to a black church.
Right.
You know, it was a meeting of black church leaders or whatever, and said as much. I mean, Nan Rich was there. He was there, and he goes, "I raised a lot of money for Barack Obama. That's why you should vote for me." Like, not what you're going to do for him,
Yeah.
not what issues you're going to propose, none of those things. You know what, man? I helped out Obama. I'm your guy. That's how little he thinks of the African American community. Again, if I was you guys, he ain't talking to me. I would be insulted if I was you. Just a suggestion, maybe. You know, and you know what? And if you are looking for the reason why you get courted to go to the dance and never get on the main stage dancing, maybe it's because you're so willing to sell out.
Yeah.
Maybe if you were going to stand on your merits and say, I'm not going to put up with this crap anymore, and I'm not just going to take a check when some politician, some Democrat comes running to give it to me, you know, and come and not bring in people that would actually care about your civil liberties. You know, that's the thing. Honestly, the entire African American community should be libertarian.
Yeah.
The entire one of it. You know more than most of how much having a lot of government can really mess you up.
Because y'all are being messed with all the time.
Yeah.
And it's
just go ahead.
It's really easy to convert them, actually.
Yeah.
All you got to do is talk to them and give them the information, and they come to the conclusion pretty quickly.
Well,
Yeah, we need to do a better job of that. Personally, I got to go out there and do it.
Well, and the problem comes out to is because we as a party are still being defined in the media by Republicans and Democrats. So Democrats paint us to be everything that their party wouldn't like, even though they're just plain out wrong. You know, you can turn and you can spin anything around to look like something it isn't. I mean, it's not difficult. You know, and that's what they do is they take a very broad look at what we actually believe, don't put that into policy, which we would do, and say, well, no, you can't do that, you know, and then say, well, they just want to, kill you all.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And every ideology has its pros and cons. Everything.
Right, of course.
Everything has its pros and cons. Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, there's pros and cons to your ideology. There's places where it's going to fail, things are going to fall through. And the same with libertarianism. The only reason that we don't talk about those cons and the places where it falls through is because we're confident in our principle that we're erring on the side of freedom. At least we are erring on the side of freedom. Yes, it may not work. There may be mistakes. It may be hard. But we're erring on the side of freedom rather than tyranny. And I think it's a principally sound stand.
Well, because it's hard now. I mean, listen, you can't say that the ideologies of either of the other two parties that have been in practice for the last, 150 years have been all that great for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got us to the point that we're at today. I mean, whether they want, and it wasn't capitalism that got us here. We're way off from what we were talking about Wiley.
Anyway.
So, let's get back to what we're doing. Well, Wiley.
Okay, so
Wiley.
Adrian was not invited to
Bastards.
this event. Although he has been invited to two of the debates, he was not invited to this event. Now, this was not a debate or anything like that, but he was, he's rising in the polls. He's been all over the state. He is raising money. He's a credible candidate, so he should have been on the stage. We just had a report last week that shows that more people are going into third parties and no party registration, which is MPA, than the other two parties. In fact, people are leaving those parties in droves and going to third party or MPA. So to not have a third option up there, to not have that voice being heard, to us showed a bias towards the major two parties. And we didn't think that the public, we thought it was, in the best interest of the public to hear all sides instead of just two. But they did not agree. And they did not invite him. So Adrian did put out a statement to an open letter to the press, basically saying that, your criteria excludes any other voice except for a Republican or a Democrat, and that we don't find that to be, fair or credible or a service to the public. So he will be at the conference, and you will either give him a speaking spot on stage or he will be arrested.
Amen. So what happened?
So he did go down there, and a lot of supporters went down there. They were holding Wiley signs out there. Nan Rich had supporters holding signs for saying, get on stage with Charlie.
Yeah. Well, her people are feeling the same way we are. Get used to it. Nah. Guess you have a little more sympathy for the libertarians now, don't you?
So he actually did go to the event. Now, when he first went there, he was a guest at the hotel. So they did have a room at the hotel. So he wasn't like trespassing on private property. He was a paying guest at the hotel.
Good move on his part.
Which was, yeah. And as he was walking around the lobby, he noticed that the entrance to the conference had a police officer at it. And the police officer was holding an 8x10 photo of him. And I
think he was just a fan looking for an autograph.
Well, that's what we thought after a while, because Adrian saw that the officer was looking down at the picture and looking up at him and looking down again and looking up at him. So Adrian went over and said, "Hi, I'm Adrian Wiley, the Libertarian candidate for governor. I'm that guy in the picture."
Hello. How are ya?
Are you looking for me?
He really, Adrian. We got to do next time there's an event like that. Though, you got to give Adrian a Sharpie.
Would you like
What
me
he
to sign
does,
that for
he
you?
goes, I'll sign it for you, and then just
Just
sign it
signs
for him.
it.
We should dress him like Waldo.
Yeah, we should dress him like Waldo.
So the guy kind of, and the police officer, of course, was a little taken back because this guy was not exactly hiding. He was like, "Hi, I'm Adrian. I'm that guy." And he told the officer, "Listen, I'm not here to cause any problems yet. The gubernatorial forum hasn't started, but just wanted to say hi. So the guy was like, "Oh, okay." Now I did text Adrian when he had told me what had happened, and I texted him back and was like, "Get a picture with the officer holding your picture." And
Yeah, that would have been cool.
That would have been awesome. And he did. He texted me right back and was like, "I already asked," and he said he couldn't do that.
Oh,
See, somebody should have got a candid shot while the officer wasn't paying attention. Although it would have been better to get a picture of the officer holding Adrian's picture over his face.
Or just at least like instead of coming in for the handshake, they could have like their arms around each other with the picture in the middle.
you know what we ought to do? We ought to make like Wiley masks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we should walk around with Wiley masks.
That would be our Guy Fawkes mask.
Yeah.
For Florida.
Yeah, the Wiley mask. All right, we'll see about that. You can work on that.
We'll work on that.
Write that shit down.
Yeah. Well, I'll get right on that.
Take a note there, huh, sweetheart? Take a friggin' note there, huh, darling?
Are you done?
No, not by any means.
I ain't done by a long shot. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry.
Just cut his mic.
That's not very nice. That was not very nice.
So eventually, and Dean Ridings, who is I don't know who he is in the Florida Press Association, but apparently he's like the organizer.
I think he's in charge of it. Maybe he's like the CEO,
I think
president,
he's in
or something.
charge. I don't really care, but
All right, then. Way to go, Danielle.
I had gone back and forth with him by email. For quite a while one morning. He did say that he was going to look at some of the polling to reconsider letting Adrian in, and then told a media outlet an hour later that they were just going to beef up security. So I just look at him as a kind of a liar, but whatever.
As a liar, pants on fire?
Yeah. So eventually, Adrian did actually get to talk to Dean Ridings, who was the person in charge of the event. And they had, a back and forth, and eventually Dean Ridings let him into what's called the open chat area, and that's where all the media outlets network with each other, and they're all talking. And so you have publishers, editors, reporters, all of them all in there talking and things like that. So Adrian was allowed in there. He networked with a lot of media, he actually scheduled a few editorial board reviews for the campaign and things. So he did he got a lot of contacts and things in the media, but they did not give him a speaking spot on stage. He did not rush the stage and take it because he felt like they had come halfway by at least letting him into the conference. So he didn't want to take it any further.
Oh. You know what, man? Here's the thing. At a certain point, you have to... See how I can say this. If they do compromise with you a little bit and give you some opening, that's a good thing at the end of the day. And that if you were allowed in the deal, you didn't get on the stage, you got the one part, you got to talk to Dean, you got to make a lot of contacts. I do think if you would have really pushed the issue at that point, you could have been labeled badly. And they let you in there so you didn't violate anybody's property rights. Mm-hmm. They did let you in. So, and at the end of the day, it was something that was a concern. Look, he was able to get into the building because he bought a room, so he had access like everybody else did, so he wasn't violating anything there. Then he got in there, and they gave him permission to be in there, so it worked out well. I think he did good. I think the boy did good, you know?
I was disappointed.
I think it was good. I'm a firm believer that discretion is the better part of valor, and I agree with his sentiment that he posted on Facebook that he could have fought it and continued and demanded to be on stage, but it would have made everybody look bad. And I think this is actually a better victory by getting the opportunity to go in and talk to some of the press and present himself as someone who's not going to back down or be intimidated, but someone who's also not going to fly off the handle and do something stupid.
Yeah. No, that's a good point, by the way. It's a good point. Speaking of people that are in places that they're not supposed to be, the next subject that we're going to bring up is one that is...
you started out having such a nice segue, and then you're like, and the next subject.
Oh.
You don't got to segue the segue.
Immigration.
Well, now you just completely went off and butchered it.
Well, I thought we were doing immigration.
Yeah, we are.
What the hell you want from me here?
When you start a segue with talking about people who are going places where they shouldn't, then you should go into the story. Glenn Beck is doing that down at the border. Mm-hmm. And then you segue into the subject without just being like that hard, like, and the next subject is immigration.
Well, look, first up, let's bring up the Becky thing first, though. It's good that you brought that up. If you don't know this yet, Glenn Beck made a decision to go to the border with a truck full of teddy bears,
soccer balls, and food
and water for the illegal kids that have come over the border illegally. I think this is a phenomenal move for Beck, and I actually think the dude's doing it because he feels it from the heart. Like, I don't think this is a lot of people like you see. Well, this is a ploy to gain ratings. Hey, look, man. First off, Becky ain't got to worry about ratings, by the way, folks. Dude's kind of making it all right on his own. If anything, this can cost him ratings.
Well, and it already has.
Yeah, and it already has. It's cost him already. But he thought it was the right thing to do. And I actually got a lot of respect for this one. I think it's a good thing, not a bad thing. And the reason that he said that he was is that, look, these kids are political pawns, either way, if you want to call it that. Right. And that we got to still be humanitarian at this point. We still got to be charitable people, and we still got to help these people out. I mean, and what I mean by help them out is don't let them starve. Don't just sit down there and do nothing. You want to feed the kids. You do it charitably, voluntarily, not with government force. And you go over there and you take care of the kids. Honestly, that really is a good thing at the end of the day. And the left and the right have shown their outright ugliness on this issue, and the Beck thing was a great example of it because the right was like, he's a sellout and he's this and that, and the left's going, well, he's a sellout and he's doing it for ratings. This dude can't win for nothing.
What kind of upside down world have we drove into where Glenn Beck is the most rational, reasonable, and compassionate person on the issue of immigration?
Yeah, we've definitely crossed into it. We've crossed the Rubicon on this one.
And I have to say that immigration as a whole, through all of the parties, minor parties, major parties, all of them, this issue brings out the worst in people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Here's the thing. Look, when they the Sarwalk put out who's the chair of the LP now, put out that thing, that the statement he put out as related towards immigration, and I was not happy with it. I did not agree with it. I thought it was a bad move. I didn't like the way that it went down. I didn't like it at all. However, the thing that he brought up in there, though, is that this problem is not just immigration, and that's true. That I think I would have spent the entire thing talking about how all this is a symptom of the real problem that we have right now, which I think your article did pretty well.
I actually wrote a response, too, because of what he wrote.
Yeah. Look, the problem we have right now is multifaceted. The first problem is that we don't really have an economy that can handle people coming in anymore. Like, it can be fixed, we can do it again, but as it stands right now, Look, we're dealing with an unemployment rate that's in the 20s right now, whether they want to admit it or not. They can fudge the numbers all they want to. Real unemployment in the 20s. The second one is we got a drug war going on that is actually doing a lot to mess up the immigration problem.
Well, and this is what, and I'm not, and I was accused already of being, blame America first. But, listen, we have to call a spade a spade. Who blamed you who said you blamed America first, by the way? Give me the name of that person. I'll talk to them later. Okay. But we have to call a spade a spade. We have contributed to the deplorable living conditions that these children had to live in their own country by our own war on drugs. We have set up a situation where drug cartels have overrun a lot of these South American and Central American countries, and that these children are being pawns in a drug war in their own country and being killed for no reason in crossfires that they never should have been involved in, that no kid should have to even see or witness or live through. And we have contributed to that.
We're a factor. I think that here's the thing. It ain't just our fault, though, but we're definitely a factor in the whole thing.
Contributed.
Like, at this point, there's got to be a little personal responsibility on the little Guatemalans that are, doing bad things. Like, don't get me wrong, they're probably collecting a paycheck from the CIA, but I'm just saying. Like, they didn't have to collect that paycheck from the CIA. They could have got a job, playing the pan flute or something. South Park reference. You see a pan flute? Pan flute? You like that? All right. So, just the fact that we make it illegal is contribute. It does a lot to contribute to it. So we have to look at our drug policy as part of the reason for this. And really, we should grow our own. Just saying.
Well,
cocaine doesn't.
I'm not trying to. Figure out a way. Look, they can with hydroponics.
Free trade.
Anything is possible, or free trade. I'm fine with free trade.
Even our own weapons policies and things like that have also contributed to some of the situations down there.
There's a lot of policies. The United States has never had any respect for Central or South America. We have horrible policies when it comes to Central and South America. It doesn't take any more than just studying how the Panama Canal came to be to get a close understanding of how that's true.
Yeah, things are messed up. Now, the third thing is that we literally have an immigration policy that incentivizes illegal immigration and that decentivizes legal immigration. It is set up right now that it is much easier to just go down to Mexico, cross the border, come into America, than it is to say, hey, I would like to be a citizen of your country. You know what I mean? Like, if you announce yourself as wanting to be a citizen of the country, that's when they mess with you. If you just go down and cross the border illegally, you'll probably get on something. You'll probably get something at that point. There's probably somebody that's going to be there to help you out. The people that are coming legally will probably get, if you went to those same people and said, I'm coming here legally, they'd be like, screw you, imperialist. Like, those people would hate you for going legally, but illegally all day long, and the government incentivizes it and they promote it.
Well, and even when you try to come here legally, it's a very long process. It takes years, up to a decade or more. I actually have a friend who it took 18 years to actually become a citizen here, and about $50,000. So it is a long process. It takes years to do. And there's caps on who can be here from certain countries. So if you're from certain countries, the caps are so low that you may be on a waiting list for a decade before they'll even say you can come here.
It is actually easier to ask forgiveness than permission.
Oh, it definitely is.
Yeah, it totally is. Do we have the interview at 9:30? Is that what it is?
Is that when you set it up for?
Yeah.
Liberty Underground.
Possibly then.
Okay.
I thought it was 10. I thought we always did interviews at 10.
I thought so too, but maybe not.
Okay. Hold on just a moment, please. Transfer you.
All right. Is this the interview? Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to take a break first, though. So let them know we're going to take a break first. Let's take a couple minute break, and then we'll get back.
I'm going to transfer you over, but we're going to take a break real quick before we do the interview, okay?
So, all right, guys. Well, look, we're going to take a break real quick. When we get back, we have a special author to discuss their book with you. It's going to be a good time. Really looking forward to it, actually.
And we'll get back into the immigration because I
yeah.
have a lot more to say.
Yeah. We got a lot more going on with the immigration thing, but we'll go ahead and do this real quick. Let Greg set this thing up. My apologies, Greg, for not telling you about this, by the way.
Yeah, I was so unprepared for that, but
That's okay. You'll make it through. So, all right, guys. You're listening to Liberty Underground. We'll be back after these messages.
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Welcome back, Liberty Underground on the 1787 Radio Network. If you would like to call the program, the number is 1-800-525-4032. Refresh Telecom, 1-800-525-4032. They will not give your name to the feds, at least not without a warrant, and even then they'll probably just pull a Lois Lerner and lose the records. Right?
It is possible that they could do that.
Yeah, it's possible they could do that. On the phone with us is a gentleman by the name of Eric S. Peterson. Eric S. Peterson wrote a book called Light and Liberty, Reflections on the Pursuit of Happiness. It has a lot of information, a lot of what Thomas Jefferson had written, and it's a nice book actually. It looks very nice. You like that? You like the cover there? I'll show it to the viewers so they can see it. Let me make sure. I don't know where the camera specifically is there, so it's right there. Oh, everything going on over there? Everything okay, Greg?
Computer slow.
The computer?
It's not bringing him up.
You got to talk to it. Talk to it. Say nice things to it.
We have that happen to us when we're trying to set stuff up.
Yeah, you ain't kidding, man. You ain't even kidding.
You
he's calling back. You must have hung up on him.
Liberty.
Greg's hanging up on him. He's like pulling a Parks and Rec. He's pulling a Parks and Rec on him. Which, by the way, I got to tell you though, man, I do love Ron Swanson so much. I'd like to write a book on Ron Swanson, actually, to be able to do that.
I wish he would never break character and just be like that on like different shows.
He sounds like he does normally, but well, let's get back to the book here, though.
Okay.
Now, what I will say is this is the first question I'm going to ask him, is that he has.
Why is this
Is it not working, Greg?
It's not.
Tell him to call in directly into the Skype. Give him the phone number. Tell him to call in directly to Skype. Then, you can give him the bat line. But let me really read some of the quotes that are on the book itself, because this is the first question I'm going to ask him. At once deeply spiritual and practical, this inspirational book has the potential to capture the imagination and energize the present-day world to dream great dreams and to do good deeds. By Archbishop Desmond Tutu.
Yes.
How do you get one of those on a book, man?
I don't know. Like, I don't know how you get Archbishop Desmond Tutu to actually write you something on a book, but I like our book doesn't have anything cool like that.
No, I definitely don't have anything cool. We definitely don't have anything cool like that.
We didn't even write our own little
Yeah,
introduction.
but to one up this, very interesting and extremely enlightening, Thomas Jefferson's lessons can greatly benefit us all. His words and deeds are bound to serve as a source of inspiration for mankind. President Mikhail Gorbachev.
Wow.
Now, his birthmark did not like the book.
Is that on there?
It came out against... No, I'm just kidding. It doesn't say that. I'm just kidding. That's kind of funny, though, because of the birthmark.
I know. We got it.
I got you. And there's a couple other people that have been on here, but I didn't know who they were. But these other... I just... Like, reading the book, I couldn't believe that you actually... Like, it's just amazing that you were able to actually get those ones. Is he on now? Eric, are you there, sir?
Yes, sir. I'm here, Eric Peterson.
Eric, thank you for dealing with Greg on the technical difficulties. First off,
it was a children issue.
It was
signing.
it was a children issue. Signing into
the account.
Yeah. My first question for you though is, how did you get Archbishop Desmond Tutu's and Mikhail Gorbachev to write something about your book, man?
Well, a lot of people overseas are fans of Thomas Jefferson, maybe even more so than here. And when they heard about the project through some friends, they were happy to offer an endorsement for it. In fact, Mikhail Gorbachev studied Jefferson when he was a university student in the Crimea. So, and Archbishop Desmond Tutu obviously regards Thomas Jefferson as a great reconciler of the races. So,
wow, that is pretty amazing.
We'll have their comments.
Yeah, right. Now, what caused? Tell us a little bit about yourself, I guess. First off.
Well, I'm a working attorney in New York. I studied history at Brown University. I went to the University of Chicago Law School. I work on public works contracts with state and local governments as a contract and transactional attorney. And Thomas Jefferson is my avocation. I think he's our country's great visionary, and I wanted to bring his vision back into the public sky.
How long did it take you? Because we did write a book, and it took us a little bit of while, and it was a pretty painful process that we had to go through. So we have a lot more respect for people in the process of writing books now. How long did it take you to put it together?
Well, I read everything that he wrote, and you may know that he wrote some 20,000 letters, as well as all sorts of state papers, replies to addresses, farm notes, records of meetings, and things like this. And it's the entire record of his life. He said his letters were the journal of his life. So when you read through that journal of his life, some 83 years he lived, you get a real feeling for the man and how much he loved this country, and he loved trying to better the general condition of humanity. So I tried to, over a period of years, extract from that massive set of writings the particularly inspirational wisdom of Thomas Jefferson and weave it together in an interesting way. My publisher at Random House calls this the book that Thomas Jefferson never wrote, although every word is his. And what I'm trying to do with the project is bring a light of Thomas Jefferson back into the American sky.
I got you. Now, when you first started, like I would imagine when you were in college, you were a fan of Thomas Jefferson, and you were starting to read this. At what point in reading all of his different works did you go, you know what, I'm going to take this stuff and I'm going to put it together and do a book out of it?
Well, this is about 15 years or so ago. I got reinterested in Jefferson. When you go down to Monticello, his home, I'm sure many of the listeners have been there. you see an extraordinarily brilliant and elegant architectural creation. It's perched on a mountaintop, and you have these beautiful views of the blue-green mountains of the Appalachians. And you can see where Thomas Jefferson had an elevated perspective on his own life, as well as from his architectural views in the house, the beautiful home that he created. And so when you enter that world, I re-entered that world about 15 or 20 years ago. I said, I really would like to get to know the heart and soul of this man. He was our nation's great visionary. He gave us the vision of faith, dignity, and mankind's basic needs, equal rights, justice, and freedom, and so forth. And I think we're always in the process of rediscovering the beauty and importance of his vision.
Now, in going through all of his writing, which, I mean, that's in and of itself is just a monumental task. What were some of the writings that maybe people don't know that are, maybe not as popular as other writings, that you really kind of read and was just shocked that maybe not shocked's not the right word, but that you read and were like, man, I can't believe this has not been made more public?
Well, that's a really wonderful question. Thank you. Most of this book, it's called Light and Liberty. That's his phrase, light and liberty. He said light and liberty go together. And most of the book is taken from his personal letters. These are letters that no one of his contemporaries saw. It was just a letter from him to some other person. So they knew him in his time as a public figure. He was on the public stage for many, many years. He held 9 different, public service elected and appointed positions in our state and federal governments. But when you read the thought and the philosophy and the view of life that he had and expressed privately that underlay all those public pronouncements and the great, wonderful ideas about how we should structure our government and our society, you realize that there was a person there who just loved humanity, and he felt very much that we wanted to create conditions in society, particularly governmental conditions, and also society and cultural understandings, that would allow the natural, let's say, the natural gifts that our Creator has given each of us to flourish. And so he was our nation's great philosopher of happiness, obviously. His was the phrase, pursuit of happiness. In a certain sense, the material that I selected from his correspondence, personal private correspondence, is all about how to use the freedoms that we enjoy in this country to have a rich, growing, serving, happy personal life. He said that, happiness is the aim of life, virtue is the foundation of happiness, and that utility is the test of virtue. In other words, for something to be virtuous, it has to actually work as a practical matter to produce human happiness, deep, abiding inner satisfaction, of course, not mere passing personal pleasures. And this book is organized into 34 separate chapters on various virtues and good qualities, because he felt that the cultivation of our good qualities to build our own character and serve our country was really the essence of what happiness was all about, pursuing happiness in his famous phrase.
No, and I guess what was there anything that you uncovered that I don't want to say shocked you, but that you didn't, maybe that you heard before, but you didn't really attribute to him until you read it at that time?
I think one of the things that did was the deep faith that he was a man of faith. He had what we might call today a deep, private, personal, spiritual faith. You might say today. A lot of people thought at the time, and still think today, that Thomas Jefferson was actually an atheist, because he was supportive of the principle of the separation, the wall of separation, as he famously put it, between church and state, between the power of organized religion and the power of civil government. And he took a very strong stand because he thought the separation of those two institutions in our society was important to the preservation and protection of both and the flourishing of general freedom. But when you read his writings, you really see that he did believe in a benign creator and sustainer and transformer of the universe, a supreme being. He called that supreme being the supreme judge of the world, divine providence, our creator, and the Declaration of Independence. Those are all phrases from the Declaration. And so when you read his writings, you see, he said, religion is a matter between man and his maker. And it's nothing else. It's you and whoever your concept of your maker is. That was his philosophy. It's a deep, private philosophy. He said that the relations which exist between man and his maker and the duties resulting from those relations are the most interesting and important to every human being and the most incumbent upon his study and investigation. So we wanted to create conditions in society where we could each explore our inner world of faith, grow our character, and serve others. And you can see that throughout all of his writings. He loved nature, nature's God, as he put it. So he was very private with his faith, so much so that they thought he was an atheist, as I said. But in fact, you see a living, breathing man of faith in the real, actual personal life and greatness of Thomas Jefferson.
Now, and I guess the reason that you're able to see something like that is because of looking at the letters that were sent privately to other people. That was much more apparent or put out front than some of the more public writings?
That's right. He carried on a wide correspondence. He wrote letters for, he was an intense student. You know, he studied for 10, 12, 14 hours a day when he was in his teens and 20s. And during all of his adult years, he wrote letters for 4 hours a day. Can you imagine the dedication that takes? You know, no email, no phone calls. You actually have to sit down, pick up a pen, and write on a piece of paper and mail it, and the other person would receive it 2 weeks later. And you accumulate a pile of return letters, and then you'd write a response back. That's what it was. And he saved copies of everything that he wrote. And he wrote on every topic, as we all know. He was a Renaissance man. He was interested and skilled in virtually everything, every field of knowledge. And he carried on a vast correspondence with all of his contemporaries. He knew all the founders of the country, as well as many international figures, many people he met in the legislative halls and so forth. But he was involved in something called the American Philosophical Society, which was like the National Academy of Sciences at the time. He was interested in everything. He corresponded with people all over the world. He would write letters back and forth to people that he never even met. If someone wanted to write a letter to Thomas Jefferson, you would write, and the chances were that you would get a nice, thoughtful letter back about whatever topic you were talking about. And so in those letters, you see the heart and soul of this great and good human being. And so I wanted to distill his wisdom down to its essence and make it easily available to people today, because who has the time to read through 20,000 letters, right?
Yeah, right.
Short book. It's only about 150 pages, but it captures, I think, the essential wisdom and vision of Thomas Jefferson.
Wow. No, it really is. It really is amazing, and to put something together like that, where you can condense somebody like that, and I do like the way that you put it into chapters, though, because you kind of took, happiness, and then read on that, and then it goes to the next one where it's aspirations. Then it goes to that cheerfulness. I mean, you kind of break it down in a way that helps people like myself, who's not I like the nickel words, not the quarter words. But to be able to break it down like that is something that's really nice, actually.
I'd actually read several books about other founders, and it's interesting, to see a book about Thomas Jefferson this way, because when you read a book like the last one was James Madison, and you can see how much correspondence that they had with Thomas Jefferson, and he really did correspond with them, especially James Madison. The book about James Madison is almost about the two of them both, even though it was about Madison instead of Jefferson. So I'm very interested in seeing a book like this that kind of brings all of those other books kind of together into his writings.
Well, yeah, and to set it up that way. Now, are you planning on doing any of the other founders, or did you really, like Thomas Jefferson was the one that really kind of did it for you, and you're like, I'm going to put this book out? Do you write other books as well?
No, I don't. I'm still having pretty active professional life as a transactional attorney based in New York, working on these public works projects, as I mentioned. My goal really is to sort of get people reading about Jefferson again, keeping the focus on him. I've done a number of university lectures and talks and so forth. I may do an actual biography. This is Jefferson's own words. I try to sort of present his perspective, his philosophy of life in this book. And so I'm really trying to sort of concentrate on raising people's positive appreciation about Thomas Jefferson himself.
All right, no, great. And now, I want to make sure to let the people know here. So the name of the book is called Light. Did you have a question, Greg?
Yeah, well, actually, I wanted to ask you something, because I'm a big fan of Thomas Jefferson myself. Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin are my two favorite founders, and I've read a lot about them. And one of the things that I found, one of the things that kind of offends me when people bring up Thomas Jefferson and they want to paint him in a bad light is how they talk about how he was a slave owner. And in reading a lot of his writings, it's clear that he was very conflicted about being a slave owner and about the entire concept of owning people as property. And he was very vocal about that, but he knew that he wasn't really dealing with people who were ready to take up this fight. Eric, in your research in this, what did you find on that, and kind of what are your thoughts on that subject?
Well, thank you so much for bringing it up and putting it that way, because that is an issue of concern to a lot of people today. Excuse me. What I found was that a couple of things. He worked very actively from the time he was about 25 to about 45 or so, before he went to France in the middle of the 1780s, actually to ameliorate and roll back slavery. He was the most vocal public figure on that subject. He actually had laws that he drafted that would provide for the gradual compensated emancipation of slaves in a peaceful way, rather than the cataclysmic way that we actually happened 70 years later. He had a couple of paragraphs in the Declaration of Independence, which you don't read today because they were not included in the final one that was passed, condemning slavery and the horrors that it represented. And so he really did try to set forth a vision of equality. If you think about it, society changes slowly. As you said, the conditions of the time, people were not respectful of African American slaves, and the ideas were pretty entrenched. So vision does take time to manifest, and his vision, I think, is the vision that ultimately liberated the slaves, the vision of equality, that all men are created equal. That is Thomas Jefferson's phrase. The Continental Congress endorsed it, even though they didn't endorse the 2 paragraphs condemning slavery itself. And over the decades that followed, this country gradually, slowly, vision does take time to manifest, came to grips with the importance and centrality of that vision, and it was that vision, I think, that ultimately emancipated the slaves.
Yeah, no, very, very good, very good. Well, the name of the book is called Light and Liberty, and is edited by a gentleman by the name of Eric Peterson, who's on the line right now. Now, if people want to get the book, they can actually go to lightandliberty.org. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you for mentioning that. That's our website. It's the name of the book, Light and Liberty, onephrase.org. We have a couple of sample chapters there. If you'd like to support your local bookstore, you certainly can order it through them. It's also available from the online outlets, of course, Barnes & Noble and Amazon.com and so forth. And it's even available in ebook form for those who are interested in ebooks.
Oh, yeah, no, I will say this, though. It's a nice, even the paperback version, though, it is a very nice,
I like
kind
it.
of a nice book, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can get the ebook if you want, but I would suggest that you get a paper version of it, because it is a very nice book, and I have not gotten to the point where I'm in depth in reading it yet. But actually, after the interview, I'm totally going to be reading it now. Eric, thank you very much. We really do appreciate you coming on and speaking about the book. And really, it's good that people are able to put together something that I would argue say is pretty unique. I mean, look, there's probably a lot of people that write books about Thomas Jefferson and other things, but I think that the way in which you went about it, though, is very unique, and that uniqueness and that condensing all of these different things into something that we can use on a daily basis is something that should be commended.
Thank you for saying that, Alex. My publisher there at Random House in the Modern Library Division said that he had never seen anything like it either. It was an interesting approach, kind of pulling somebody's... Because what I did, basically, is I selected, maybe 1,300 short expressions of his wisdom. I grouped them together as if they had been written at the same time into 34 different essays. And so it is a unique thing. And I think if I could mention one more thing, is that we found that this book is of a lot of interest to college students and even high school students, that people like to give it, this is a nonprofit project from my point of view, obviously, just trying to serve the ideals of Thomas Jefferson. And we found that a lot of high schools like to put it in their curriculum for, social studies, history, type cultural type curriculums. It's being used as an instructional book in the University of Tokyo and the Sorbonne. So it's, internationally it has some appeal. And so for young people trying to sort of form their life philosophy, particularly in their teenage years, I think this would be a really interesting source document to sort of help frame a person's own effort to sort of figure out what they think life is all about as they move into adulthood.
No, absolutely. No, that's a great idea. Again, Eric, thank you very much. We really do appreciate you calling in today, sir.
Thank you so much, Alex. I appreciate it. Thank you for supporting this project.
Oh, no, have a great day. Have a great day. Wow, dude. You know what, man? I look, this is the reason that I still will do people that write books.
Well, and, and I know that he says, like, the ebook is available, and I know a lot of people love their e-readers and stuff, but I still like to sit and hold a book.
Me too.
Like, I had a Kindle. I had it for a long time. And, it was nice on the beach where, you weren't flapping with pages in the breeze and stuff like that. But nothing beats just holding down and sitting and holding a book when you read it. So I'm much more a fan of actually having the book than not. And especially a book where you're literally reading the words of Thomas Jefferson. That's one of those books where I think you have to hold it.
I love the smell of books. That's a big part of it for me is the smell and the tactile feedback on the fingers and everything. It's definitely one of the important parts of reading. I'm going to have to bring in my prized possession of my book collection to show you. I don't think I've ever shown that to you. I have a second edition printing of Benjamin Franklin's autobiography. I think it's from 1851 or something.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Greg, we all know you don't even know how to read, brother. Come on now.
It's got lots of pictures.
I've never learned how to read. No, I think that was a very interesting interview. I like I said, that's the reason I still want to bring authors on, because you know what, you will find some that you didn't know about that were writing a book that was very interesting.
Yeah, no, and I when this book came in, I was like, oh, this is cool. I like this book. This is a cool one.
I want to read it. I love anything about Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of Thomas Jefferson and James Madison. Those are like, I don't know which one I like more. I kind of like them both the same. They kind of look at things they come from two different perspectives, but get to the same point. Mm-hmm. And I really enjoy reading them both. So the one book that I have, which is quite thicker than that one, but it was James Madison, and I was interested. It was interesting to see how much of a book about James Madison really was a book about the two of them, because you almost couldn't talk about one without talking about the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh no, and I think it was that was very well. Like I said, man, it's just those are the reasons that you still do it. You know, you find somebody from time to time that has put something out that's pretty cool. And that we're lucky enough that where sometimes we can actually get them on the show. I'm happy the guy lowered himself to our level.
Right? Like after you have the quotes on your book from like Mikhail Gorbachev, I was kind of like, well, why are you coming on our show?
Yeah, no, if you can talk to that dude, man, there's no reason to talk to us.
Like, there's no reason to talk to us.
If you got Mikhail Gorbachev to talk to you,
yeah, you
got
too. If you got old Gorby reading your stuff, man, I mean, you don't need to, you don't need to deal with this. So
thanks for making us look good.
Yeah, no, right? It was a pleasure having you on. So no, I think I liked it a lot, man. And like I said, I liked the. And it's funny that this guy only is doing one book because of his own personal respect for Thomas Jefferson. Though.
Yeah,
I thought that was also a very good thing that goes along with it. And they, did it in a non-for-profit way where, and well, here's the thing, man. If you wanted your kids to learn about something, wouldn't you want them to learn about TJ?
Oh, absolutely. Thomas Jefferson is going to be an integral part of my son's education.
Right.
And it's funny because like when people ask me who my favorite president is, I don't answer with Thomas Jefferson, because to me, he transcends his presidency. He is so much more than a president. Thomas Jefferson is one of my favorite human beings ever to walk the planet Earth. It's beyond being my favorite president. I mean, it was like he was saying, he was a Renaissance man. He thought it was important to have extensive knowledge in every field possible. He was not just a lawyer, not just a politician. He was a doctor. He was the first paleontologist in the United States. He was helping find and record and log the fossils being found in the United States. I mean, he was an amazing person and so valuable. I thoroughly believe that without him, we would not have this country today, and it certainly wouldn't look anything like what it is.
Right. No, I agree with you on that.
Wow. It's pretty deep, Greg.
Deep as a Frisbee.
You're a deep man. You're deep. No, that was way deeper than a Frisbee, man. It was like a big gulp deep, man. Like a super big gulp, like a double gulp. It's like a double gulp deep, man. I mean, you can put a whole lot in there, man. That's a beautiful thing. All right, well, it's hour number one in the bag, I think. We'll put that. What's that? Hour number one in the bag?
2 minutes.
2 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a 2. Well, look, that's not really heartbreak, though, right? Because it's not like 10 to 11.
Right.
Oh, my bad.
Okay.
All right, we'll keep going.
No, that's fine.
It's okay. We'll blow that 2 minutes debating on whether or not we should go to break.
Yeah, I think we ought to go right away and not wait, but that's all right.
Okay.
No, it's okay. No, it's not a problem, though. If you do want to call the program, though, the Refresh Telecom lines is 1-800-525-4032. Our website is 1787network.com. Go there, like articles, post them, share them with your friends, share them with your family, share them with your enemies, and share them with your loved ones. Share them with everybody. Just share them. There's a good one there on immigration. There's written by Danielle Alexandre. God bless her for her work and what she's done. She's dedicated to the cause. We'll be back after these messages.
is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Welcome back, Liberty Underground. If you'd like to call the program, the number is 1-800-525-4032. Refresh Telecom, 1-800-525-4032. Very, very interesting first hour. Very unique, little off the track. But let's get back on track. And we're getting back on the track with the immigrations.
The immigrations.
Not to pull a Bushism on you, but,
That was totally late.
that's a Bushism. The immigrations.
We're on the internets.
We're on the internets with the immigrations. So where we left off at was, the problem that we have right here is so multifaceted it's not even funny. You got an economic problem, you have a drug problem, and then you have an incentivized of illegal immigration problem. And I would actually say that even the government has stepped up their game on this one, though. Not only do they incentivize illegal immigration, they are now actively promoting it. And that has caused the recent, massive influx of people coming into this country. It was because of government policies and the advertisements of those policies that have gotten us where we're at right now.
Well, it's and I think we have to understand what is legal and what is not legal, because a lot of what you see and a lot of the vitriol coming from both sides really is where people are really not understanding what the law is. And so you really need to understand what the law is. Is any unaccompanied minor that comes over the border into the country does have legal standing to try to stay or fight deportation, where an adult that would come over could actually be sent back very quickly. A child cannot. And so they actually, once they get here, and this is part of a trafficking law, human trafficking kind of protection law that was created back in 2000. It was renewed in 2008, which basically states that, you know, it was to try to protect children that were brought over here in human trafficking cases, that they would have legal standing, you know, to either stay here because of things going on in their home country, or to be sent back, but they had to be advocated for. And that's why you see these unaccompanied minors being sent here, is because they actually have legal standing to try to stay here more so than an adult does. And most of the children that are coming over are actually coming over here because they have family here.
I'm listening. You were in the middle of saying something. Go ahead. Continue.
That was it.
That was it.
Yeah, that's what's going on here.
Well, look, I understand. I think one of the things is that you're right. There is a misunderstanding of the law. And then there is the way that people want the law to be.
Right.
And then they will argue that, well, everybody should be illegal and nobody should be allowed here. And that's not really the case. And that's where you get the vitriol on both sides. Now, look, and again, even on this show right now, we have differences of opinion as to what. Like, I'm a border guy. I like that there's a border. Don't get me wrong. I think it should be very easy to cross it. But I do think that we should have a border. I mean, I like America, you know what I mean? And I want America to be America. So, but I think the problem here is that if anybody says that they like a border and that there should be a process in which to come to this country, they're immediately called racist for this, which I think is wrong.
Well, and I don't disagree that we need to have a border. I think where we disagree is how the process should work to be here, and what should happen to children that were brought over here that really didn't have a choice in the matter.
Yeah, I here's the thing. I can understand that, but by saying it that way, though, you really do create a loophole where one shouldn't exist, though.
Well, the loophole was created in the law that I had nothing to do with anyways.
Well, no, I understand, but that part of the law really should change, though.
Yep, but it hasn't, and this is the situation that you're in.
Yeah, no, it's
so,
true.
and listen, and when I say that this has brought out the worst in every party everywhere, I have never seen an issue where I have seen good people that I know personally, good people that are caring, loving people, would give you the shirt off their back, and we'll talk about children crossing our border like they're just property, like it's a shipment of, you know, computer parts that they need to just ship back.
Well, kids are computer parts. What do you want from me? No, I'm kidding, of course. No, look, it's a very nasty issue right now. And like I said, even within every political party, you have vast differences of opinion here. You know, there are Democrats that are not for this, what's going on the border right now. You know, there are Republicans that are quite okay with it. You know what I mean? It varies. I mean, it's one of those things where I think at the end of the day, our country was founded upon immigration and people coming to this country, and I don't think that it needs to stop. I think that the biggest problem, and again, I will go back to what I said in the beginning, the biggest problem we face right now is that we can't handle the influx that's coming in. But the reason we can't handle it is because we've geeked up our economy so freaking bad, it's not even funny, and we've set up the conditions that allow for this, you know, the influx of illegal immigrants coming into the country. And those people, when they get here, though, are not treated well. You know, they're treated crappy. They're under the radar. They're under the law, which means, you know, the protections that they would have, you know, in our country when it comes to, you know, protecting the individual are gone because they're scared of being turned into the immigration and thrown back outside. Even though I think that fear should be going away now, but you know, only because it's not like they're throwing anybody out anymore. But I just don't understand. I don't understand the vitriol on both sides. And when somebody like Beck says, you know what, man, these kids are being played as pawns in a political game here. Maybe we ought to go down there and give them some teddy bears and some soccer balls and some food. And doing it upon yourself to do it. How both sides want to hate on you for that.
Yeah.
Like, it just goes to show you, anybody that's hating on Beck for this right now, anybody that's hating on Beck, you're wrong. And again, I'm no fan of Beck. I don't particularly care for the dude too much.
I have hated Beck for a lot of years, and this is one of the first times where I've really been happy to see what Glenn Beck is saying and been proud to say that I agree with him.
Right.
and I support him in what he's doing. And I'm telling you what, I'm getting on the Glenn Beck bandwagon because he's been a lot better over the last few months. And this one right here, it tells me that he is on a path to better things.
Well, I kind of looked at it this way because I saw people that we personally know who are just really good people. I mean, just the sweetest, nicest people who are really hating on Beck for this. And, at the end of the day, he wasn't like, I'm going to get every child an attorney and get them to stay here for free. What he did was say, I'm going to help provide them hot meals and some food and some toys, because at the end of the day, it wasn't their fault they got stuck in a political game.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah.
They didn't choose to become a political football in the United States.
Right.
Yeah.
They just wanted to get out of the country they were going to get killed
Well,
in.
they got shipped out too. I mean, it's not like the little kid made his own choice. Like I'm gonna go to America,
Yeah, like,
or however you would say that in Spanish or Guatemalan or whatever country you're from.
I don't think that there was any children in Honduras and Guatemala that were like, hey, guys, I got a great idea. Put me on a bus without you guys and just send me to America and I'll make it. I'll be fine.
I'll handle my business.
Better yet, pack me in a box, poke a couple of holes in there, and send me UPS.
Right. Like, no child. No
You think that would
child
work?
in any of these countries were saying that. And in all honesty, there was no parent that was sending their child there without it being terribly hard on them, too. You don't just pack your child away into the unknown and not do that under what you really feel like you have no other choice to do.
Yeah, yeah. And again, there's no easy answers to any of this stuff when it comes to immigration. It really isn't. I mean, there is not an easy answer. What we should be able to agree upon is to get rid of the damn conditions that are causing it, though. Like, that should be the thing we can all agree on, and it's too bad that that's the one thing that we're not agreeing on, because we're too worried about who's the racist or not.
Yeah, well,
It's not racist to want a damn border. I'm sorry. It's just not racist to want a border. It's not racist to want a process. You know what I mean? But if you're just saying that we can only let, white Anglo-Saxons in and everybody else can't come in, well, then that would be racist.
Well, I think what comes into, and I think what some of the vitriol has happened, is because, listen, as libertarians especially, we believe that welfare should end.
Yep.
So when you see libertarians...
Government-sponsored welfare, by the way.
Yeah, government-sponsored welfare. Everything else would be charity.
I'm just saying.
But when you see people that are saying, we should send them back because they shouldn't be on our welfare system, well, you're kind of confusing two issues. And it does make you sound like you want to end welfare for these people because they're from another country, when especially libertarians should never be put in that camp, because we don't want to end welfare because immigrants are getting it. We want to end welfare because it's wrong to steal from one person to give to another, regardless of race, creed, religion, lifestyle, sexual orientation. It doesn't matter. The theft of one to give to another is wrong. And we're putting this in the wrong context by putting two issues together that should not be together. Immigration, welfare is not wrong to give to immigrants. Welfare is wrong to give to anyone. And we need to make that separation, because we're falling into the same arguments that the other two parties are falling into, instead of being above that argument, above the race argument, by saying welfare in and of itself is wrong.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It's just a tough situation, man. I feel bad. I will say this though. I got a newfound respect for Becky. I got a newfound respect for that cat, because he really did something that can mess up his career. Like, he did something that's going to mess with his ratings. It's gonna hurt him, and he had to spend money to do it. And it ain't like the left's all of a sudden going to go, maybe I ought to start listening to Glenn Beck.
Right.
Because that couldn't even be part of the thought process, because that just ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, I am definitely, well, I hate the term open borders because it has been redefined in the media to mean something that it doesn't. So I am not a no borders person, which is what the libertarians constantly get, portrayed as. Well, you don't want borders. No. Open borders and having no borders are actually two different things. The definition of open borders is for people or goods to be able to travel easily between the border. I want a process. I want it to be easy. I don't think it needs to be overly regulated. I don't think we need to only allow the elite that can afford attorneys into our country. I think that it should be an easy process, but there still should be a process, and that is actually the definition of open borders.
Well, some people. Here's the thing. One of the problems that we do have, though, is with definitions.
Yes.
So I will definitely grant you that we do have an issue about what is defining of that. Now, there's people that will advocate for what they would call open borders that are not what you're talking about.
But that's because they don't know how to read a dictionary.
The dissolution of the border is what they are talking about.
Yeah, that's called no borders.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's a lot of people that advocate for that position, though, that are, that are, what's the word for it?
Using the term open borders.
Yeah, that are using the term that way, and they've geeked up your term, man. It's like the Republicans geeking up the term libertarian. I mean, they've done a good job of geeking that thing up because, people look at Rand Paul like that dude's anything, libertarian. Why don't we ask David Jolly in his recent votes and see what we think about that when it comes to whether Rand Paul's a libertarian or not. Remember, he supported him, so for anybody that's going to go, well, Rand Paul's not David Jolly. Well, he teamed up with Karl Rove to make sure he got in office against the libertarians. So, let's talk about that for a little
And
bit.
looking at David Jolly's votes, very unlibertarian.
Yeah. I wonder if he's going to support him again.
Now,
Traitor.
this is something where, you see a lot of vitriol on especially on the right, where, it's, to me, been very heartless towards children, where at the end of the day, the kids that are there over the border really have nothing to do with this. So you can hate them all you want, but they really were pawns between two different countries. So hating on those people, you're really misdirecting who's to blame here.
Yeah.
Because it's not the kids sitting on the border that have been taken away from their families and literally sitting in, what appears to be almost cages if you see the pictures, So, I mean, this is definitely not what they wanted. But immigration as a whole and immigration reform is actually something where the loudest people are the ones saying, close all the borders, don't let anyone in, and send everyone home. Those are the loudest. But that's not actually popular opinion, because poll after poll shows that people actually want to have a very easy path to citizenship. They don't want this overly complicated system. And the people that are here, they want them to have a way to become citizens and be here legally without going home. And that right now, that they just did a poll this week that shows that at 67% of voters that actually say they want a clear path to citizenship for anyone who's here, even people that are here illegally.
Yeah, it's a lot, man, and it's so tough it's so tough with this issue, though. It really is, because I think that what you ought to do is that if you're here right now and you did not go through the proper channels, that you shouldn't be given citizenship. I don't think that you should be, but I do think if you had a permanent visa, I think I'd be cool with that. I'd definitely be cool with that. I think that would be good, but I don't think that you should be given a citizenship, though, because you didn't go through even if I disagree with the way that the channels are currently done, which I totally do. I think it's way too cumbersome to do that. But I do think that giving these people the ability to stay here and not have to leave, that's something I would support. But again, the difference is between citizenship and a permanent visa. There's a difference there. Again, some people ain't going to agree with that. I'd be considered racist for that. Greg's looking at me like I'm a racist now, though. I can see that face. The face is looking at me that way. I don't even like that face. Don't even look at me that way.
Are you gonna get your hood out and put it on?
Is that right? Yeah. Bastard.
I'm kidding.
Speaking about being stuck in the middle of two opposing sides. Oh no, go ahead.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
No. Please finish. Continue. No. I insist. I am not talking until you talk.
I actually wanted to hear Greg's opinion on this because he's the only one that hasn't said anything.
Oh, Greg, say something.
Well, I agree with a lot of what you said, Danielle. I think that there are a lot of people who are being very vocal on this issue who would rather be right than be compassionate. Mm-hmm. They want to stick to an ideology and hold it as tight as possible while these kids are stuck in the middle and are a political football. There's no reason that we shouldn't welcome these kids and help them out. And personally, myself, when it comes to immigration, as far as I'm concerned, the only requirement should be a criminal background check from your country of origin or wherever you're coming from. If you don't have a criminal record, there's no reason why we should tell you you're not welcome here.
What about health screenings?
Health screenings, I'm not really for health screenings. Dangerous communicable diseases, I wouldn't be opposed to quarantining them or preventing them from coming in until they've gotten treatment. I wouldn't say that they're not allowed to come here because of medical issues. It would be a short list of very dangerous communicable diseases that I would say people need to be quarantined or not let in.
Like shingles.
No, not shingles.
The flu.
No.
Chicken pox.
No, that's same as shingles.
What if you have an ingrown toenail?
No. We can chop off
you're just going to let anybody
We'll just chop off your toe.
And you're going to chop off the toe? Okay, then that's cool.
I've seen people going, well, we have a system and 1 million people immigrate here a year, so the system is working. I'd like to remind everyone that every terrorist that we've caught here that has wanted to do harm has been here legally, and people that want to be here and just go and live with their own families have been kept out. So the system that we currently have is not working.
Yeah, it's broke. That's the one thing everybody should be able to agree on. What we're currently doing ain't working. That's for damn sure. Now, speaking about being stuck in the middle between two sides fighting, Rick Scott, Charlie Crist. I know we got into this thing a little bit, but what you are seeing now is two sides that are so incredibly sue-happy that they are literally going to be suing each other all the way to November.
Well, they've got so many lawyers on their payroll, they got to give them something to do.
You know what, Greg? That's a good point, by the way. You know what? I didn't even think about it that way. They're trying to create jobs.
It's budget justification. It's budget justification.
There is a department in the Florida Division of Elections that actually deals with ethics complaints. And I am quite sure that right now they have one person dedicated full-time to just the ethics complaints that are coming in from the Crist campaign and the Scott campaign about each other.
You know what? I disagree with you, Danielle. There's got to be at least a team of 3 or 4.
There's too many of them.
There's way too many of this crap going on, Danielle. One person cannot handle this.
The fact that, if I was that person sitting there and getting all of these complaints, I'd be like, talk about the pot calling the kettle black on this one. Are you kidding? You want to make an ethics complaint about him? And you want to make an ethics complaint about him? Are you kidding?
That's right.
It's great for the Wiley campaign because all he has to do is stand up and say, look, they're spending millions of dollars trying to convince you that the other one is incapable of governing, and they're both right.
Yeah. Honestly, Adrian should have one commercial, and that's the only thing that it says. You're going to hear a lot of attack ads on Charlie Crist and Rick Scott.
They're all true.
They're all true. Every one of them. Vote for me because your vote really shouldn't go to either one of these guys. And that's what I'm looking at right now. Look, between the ethics complaints on Scott, and they're not even going down the real ethics complaints that they should be having. The piss tests. The elimination of a sheriff.
Yeah, there are real violent would get him in jail if they actually fight the battle.
Yeah, and it's not like the Republicans don't know where all the bones of Charlie Crist are buried. Hell, they helped them.
The fact is it educated them too.
You know what? Honestly, I think at a certain point, there's going to be a couple Republicans going to be willing to have to fall on the sword to expose this stuff, and they're going to have to do jail time for it. But I think that they're going to pay these guys off. They're going to take some Rick Scott campaign funds, put it in some kind of escrow account, and be like, when you get out of jail, we'll give it to you. Probably like the parachute deal they're giving to Greer.
Now, there's two major ethics complaints on both sides, which this is just, if it wasn't such serious accusations, you'd want to say that this was just like high school, back and forth. But these are serious accusations. Well, Rick Scott this week, actually, his campaign staff went and asked police officers and invited police officers to come to what they called a meeting on what would help the law enforcement budgets. When they got there, it was a Rick Scott campaign event where he's like, look at all the police that support me.
Yeah.
Bait and switch.
Now, of course, our favorite sheriff in Pinellas is like, I don't know where the communication broke down because I knew it was a Rick Scott event.
Well, of
I don't
course.
know why anyone else didn't know.
Well, you're one of Rick Scott's hand-picked sheriffs. I mean, why wouldn't you know?
The guy handpicked and appointed by Rick Scott is like, no, he did nothing wrong. I knew all along.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, those other people in the room, I don't know about them, but I knew.
Yeah, that's what they're going to do. Like, and that's I call it incumbent advantage.
Yeah.
Because as a current elected official, you can get into a lot of places that you normally can't get to. You know, and then Charlie Crist again. Let's go back and forth here. Charlie Crist, ethics complaint. He's failing to disclose his income, is where he's getting his money from. Like, again, where are you getting? I mean, look, the problem is it the stuff that he did disclose? That's enough of a problem in and of itself.
Yeah.
Like, what are you hiding, dude, considering the stuff that you're doing?
What he did disclose, although they are saying that he didn't disclose enough of it, that he misrepresented his financial relationship with St. Joe Company. Now, St. Joe Company is a real estate and a timber firm, but the timber is actually, they make paper. They're a paper company. They're a very, very large paper company who won a very, very large government contract about 6 months before Charlie Crist left office. And then Charlie Crist was on their board of directors shortly after he left office and has a very large financial stake in the company. He owns about $100,000 worth of stock. He was, paid to, be on their board of directors. So he's a large financial interest in the company. Now he's running for governor again after having this relationship with them, obviously awarding them contracts, then being on their board of directors, and now he wants to be your governor again.
Yeah, I wonder if those guys are going to get any more sweetheart deals. I mean, it's a lot of this stuff is legal, folks. It's not even like it's illegal. It's a lot of this stuff is totally 100% legal.
Now, there was a lawsuit filed on the St. Joe Company, so that is going to be a lawsuit because they are trying to basically take back the contract that Charlie Crist gave them before he left office.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now he's trying to be a Democrat, so he's a hillionaire. He's a millionaire that is really poor.
Yeah. Well, I think that the best picture that the Wiley campaign has put out, the best meme that they've put out, is the one that shows Rick Scott's house, the one that shows Charlie Crist's house, and the one that shows Adrian's house.
Yeah, and my first thought when I saw those was, I've only been invited into one of those.
Yeah. Yeah. When did you go to Rick Scott's house?
It was a pool party back in the day.
But just
a lot of drugs.
Don't remember most of it.
So
Mescaline.
these ethics complaints are flying back and forth. Now the first one was, well, not the first one. There's been a lot, but last week or the week before, the Crist campaign came out with Rick Scott. Basically, they actually recycled a campaign commercial that was from a Republican challenger of Rick Scott in the primary in 2010.
Yeah.
And they use that, and it's literally Rick Scott pleading the fifth 75 times.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now the Rick Scott campaign comes out and says, well, that wasn't inside, that's very misleading. He did not plead the fifth at all during the criminal proceedings against his company for the Medicare fraud, which is true because they never really interviewed him.
Yeah.
That was a civil suit of a company that had been defrauded also. And that's where he pleaded the fifth 75 times in that civil case when they were questioning him about that. Same Medicare fraud scheme. It was just the civil suit instead of the criminal suit.
Yep.
Right.
And it's
He was out of the criminal suit because of closed door, non-public meetings that none of us ever get to know about. But the reality is, a criminal is now governor instead of behind bars. So something shady went on behind those doors.
Yeah, and now the last criminal that had the seat is now running against the current criminal that's in office right now, and somebody will call you crazy for wanting to vote for Adrian.
And the former governor, who is a criminal, is only not in jail because of Jim Greer, who fell on the sword for both of them, because actually both of them could have been implicated, the current and former criminal governors.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He just went to jail instead.
Yeah, Jim Greer's doing jail time for both of them while they're out here partying and
Well, I think he's out now.
spending
He
campaign.
is.
Well, yeah, he
He's
is
out
out now, but
He is out now.
Are you paying attention, folks? Have you been able to keep up? Do we need to draw this one out for you? Because it might be that we have to draw it out for you, because it is definitely something that requires a little bit of going through.
We can draw you a map, but it's a one-way street. There is only one destination.
Yeah, corruption. Oh man, it's just I don't even know how any of these people do it. Like I don't even know how. Like look, I've gone to places and they've talked about how we got to support Rick Scott, and I just want to laugh. I just want to laugh because it's like, what? Why would you do this? So I guess you don't believe in limit. I believe in the Constitution. You know, no, you don't. If you did, you wouldn't support this guy. You know, I don't understand how this guy all of a sudden can get a pass for you. But
I don't see how anyone can make the lesser of two evils on either one of these guys.
No.
Like, it's literally the same person.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, aside from the fact that their names are a little different, they look a little different, these two are literally governed almost exactly alike when they were the Republican governor.
Yeah.
And committed almost the exact same crimes as the Republican governor.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
you have to wonder about the normal people, the normal population that just accept this nonsense.
Well, I here's what it is, and this is what I think is the biggest problem that we face. These guys are so nasty, they're so negative that you have a very large amount of the population that just doesn't even want to be involved in it. They're embarrassed. And that they're just like, I don't even want to deal with this stuff. And when you come to them with somebody else, while they will show interest, then this is where the second problem comes in. They think they can't do anything about it. They're like, well, these guys got hundreds of millions of dollars. There's no way you're going to beat these guys. And they just have a very defeatist attitude about it. And I just wish people could understand the power of one person. That, you know, you don't have to worry about everybody else and what they did. You just worry about yourself. Go out there and really just try to convince a very small amount of people. You don't need much. We talked about it on the call last night. And if you have a 25, you need 2 out of 10. If you could convince, you know, if you go around to your precinct and 2 out of 10 of the registered voters voted for the guy you wanted, that dude wins. And to be honest with you, the 3-way race, it wouldn't even be that close.
Yeah.
Now, the former Miami mayor, Maurice Ferry, actually did endorse Rick Scott in 2010. He's a Democrat, but he crossed party lines and did not endorse Alex Sink when she ran for governor against Rick Scott. He endorsed Rick Scott. Well, he has changed his tune this year and actually has this week publicly endorsed Nan Rich.
Nice. I mean, hopefully after she loses, he'll support Wiley, but I don't think so.
I have no. Well, I mean, he's
look. If you went to Rick Scott and to Nan Rich, man, there's a path to Wiley there. There is a path to Wiley there.
So you know, he actually, and he is a Democrat who broke party line to endorse Rick Scott in 2010, and literally said we cannot have Charlie Crist, and he threw his strong support against Nan Rich this week.
No,
I'm strongly supporting Nan Rich.
Yeah, through his strong support to Nan Rich.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Not against Nan Rich.
I thought I said to Nan Rich.
I think she did.
Okay.
Do I need to pull up the tape?
No, need to pull up the tape. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see it, and I do want to see some. Some dissension in the ranks on the Dem side. I think it does help, and it's going to help Adrian at the end of the day. I wish I saw some dissension in the Republican side, because there are some people that are running as a Republican for governor other than Rick Scott. They're not going to get any love. Now, and I will say this, one of the person literally, I think, they have their address listed at a Best Buy, I think.
No. Many of her donors' addresses
her donors are all Best Buy.
Are literally... There's
it's one Best Buy.
Yinka, she actually has raised like $200,000. Like, she's raised a lot of money, or I think it was like $150,000 or $180,000. So we're like, well, wait a minute. This is some unknown person. How is she raising so much money? So we started to look. And she has a long list of donors. You'll see 20, 30 people all listed at the same address. So then you look up the address and it's like the Best Buy.
Yeah, no crap.
So she's like going in there and she's like, I'll buy this $3,000 big screen TV from you if you all donate to my campaign.
I have no idea what's going on with that. I mean, you want to talk about throwing around some ethics complaints. Maybe someone should be questioning who's donating to Yinka, because 30 or 40 people all live at the same address, and either the address doesn't exist or it's a Best Buy or like a gas station. Like something ain't right here.
Oh yeah, look, it is bad, man. It is bad. Hold on, what was that woman's name again? Yeah,
Yinka.
she's the one at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, her name. Let's get the name right here. I can't even say it.
It's Yinka.
Yinka Abadasi Adeshina. Now that's the woman's name. I'm not making it up. It's on the Florida Division of
She is
Elections.
actually a pharmacist.
She's a pharmacist.
Yeah.
Really? How did you know? Did you get some drugs from her?
No. She's listed.
Hold on, she's a drug dealer then.
She's listed.
No wonder why she's getting money from sources that nobody knows about. You know, that makes a lot of sense here.
She's listed as a pharmacist under her.
She has a website now.
Disclosures.
She has a website now.
Yeah. Well, I think most of it is, like kind of the. Yeah. She it's like the form. Like I last time I looked at it, so you know how they give you that wording. Like, welcome, use this space to talk about yourself. Like, for a while, her website just said, use this space to talk about yourself.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I will tell you, I do find it funny. Like, I actually do, like, look, you can get mad at at libertarians sometimes for not having the most professional websites, but I've seen some of the Republican websites, and I got to tell you, they're putting up stuff that came with the frame.
You ain't even kidding.
Like this right here. Let's look at Yinka here. The picture you put up is covering your mouth and shows your face. Then there's a picture of a rose.
And then there's like a tree.
A red rose. And excellence 2014. Click here to enter text.
Click here to enter text. Love it.
What is going on here? Then there's a picture of a tree. Look, and here's another thing. Don't put up scenic pictures of places that we all know is not in Florida.
Because that mountainous region.
Yeah, because that mountain and that tree ain't coming from the Sunshine
This is
State,
like
lady.
the Grand Canyon.
What is this, Arbor Day?
It ain't even Arbor Day. This is funny, though. Look, if you ever want to entertain yourself for a little while, go to the Division of Elections website. Go down for the candidates running for governor and go find not the ones you know.
The ones you
don't
know.
click on the ones you don't know and see what you're going to find there, because you're going to find some funky stuff there.
He's not on there anymore, but there was one where you clicked on the website and it played like James Brown.
Oh, is he off now?
Yeah, he's off. He didn't qualify.
No, he's not.
Yeah,
is
he didn't
really?
qualify.
Bastard.
Even funnier, some of the minor political parties.
Oh,
their websites are hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, now, you don't have a lot of... the only third-party candidate you got running in this race
Adrian.
for governor is Adrian.
Yeah. But no, if you go to the parties, the actual political parties, and it lists their websites, like the Green Party and their websites are funny.
Yeah. And, well, a lot of them are non-existent, too. I mean, they're just...
Yeah.
This is what it is. All right, on the line with us, though... Oh, sorry, we didn't get to Brandon. Jesus. On the line with us, Brandon from the Global Dispatch. Brandon, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How's everyone?
I'm doing well, man. I'm sorry we haven't seen you or haven't talked to you in the past couple weeks. I kind of missed you.
Well, that's good to know.
So
I've been replaced with a monkey and a cell phone. I'm up and coming.
No, not yet, man. Of course not yet, dude.
We can't get the monkey to talk is smart.
Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. So how's it going out there, man? How's it going out there for you?
It's been busy. I mean, we had our first, official threat from Google who asked us to take down a photo that they found offensive, which ironically was from a news story about a teacher who was teaching sex ed at the middle school, and the photo was inappropriate, we thought, hence the news story, but it was so offensive, it was offensive for Google. So it's been a kind of wild week juggling some of these kind of bizarre things in the Global Dispatch soap opera.
Oh, wow.
I saw that. I thought it was so funny that you actually just used a picture of what was being used in a classroom, and Google made you take it down as offensive.
Well, they not only just take it down, they're threatening us. They said if we don't take it down, they'll pull our Google ad account.
Wow.
Damn. Well, that does kind of suck right there, man. Well, when you get in, when that's how you do business, though, that really does give them the big advantage, doesn't it?
Well, and that's the thing too. And again, it's a faceless entity, so it's not like I can call up, Jerry, my account manager, and try to explain my scenario, or I can try to, they only give you so many hours to respond, and it's just it's the big brother aspect of the internet that people don't totally understand.
Yeah. Now, what's going on out there? What's going on out there in the world that you guys have been reporting on?
Obviously, the biggest stories of the week really has probably been the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. But, the Germany NSA tensions between America have gotten a little bit worse. And the big news, of course, this morning is, we now have some new documents that were released yesterday that show how the Britons had responded to the Snowden papers, that their government actually came into The Guardian threatening them with arrest if they did not destroy some of these disks and some of these files. So it's very interesting. The White House knew about this. CIA heads knew about this. So it was just really a fascinating backstory that shows the authoritative power that's not just the America with this. It's all over the globe.
No, absolutely. Now, one of the things you're talking about is what currently is going on in Israel and the fighting that's going on over there right now. Can you kind of lay out what is your take on this and what's going on over there?
Well, it's nothing new. I mean, sadly, the Palestinians have turned to Hamas leadership. Hamas is recognized by most countries as a terrorist group leading their country. So there's a hatred and a vitriol against Israel, to wipe them off the map, to not recognize them as a country, and all those things. So weapons and artillery moves from Russia and many other countries through Syria and different means to get them weapons that they use against the Israelis. Now, what the problem is the press doesn't really kind of objectively cover the conflict, because what Hamas will do is they will launch, surface-to-air missiles and things like that into Israel airspace from the rooftops of hospitals and schools and that kind of thing. So when Israel retaliates, of course, there's innocent collateral damage. You have children that make the news and all those kinds of things. And Israel really did respond very boldly this time. They struck over 150 strategic locations. The casualties and the stress on the Palestinian rescue teams and hospital emergency care areas are really near the point of breaking. So it really is a conflict that has not gone a close resolution at all in any stretch of imagination.
What do you see as is this going to go back down, or do we see this escalating even more than it's escalating right now?
Israel is moving towards the point of escalation. They've already called up reservists. They're talking about actually, having to do a ground invasion as well. Sweeping the streets like they did in 2009. Trying to really push Hamas back away from the border, trying to maintain some sort of civil order in the streets and that kind of thing, so that they can retreat back across their border. So that is probably what's going to have to happen, because Hamas and the Palestinian Authority doesn't appear to be, stepping down at all.
So I guess when it comes to having peace in this area, this is definitely not going to go a long ways into helping to have that.
I don't see how there's any chance of peace anytime soon. America's diplomacy is just kind of a laughable situation in this entire region. John Kerry's kind of makes a buffoon of himself, and what happens in the Gaza Strip is just chaos. You can't just assume that these people are going to lay down their arms when you're witnessing them shooting missiles from a school top, knowing that if you fire back, it's going to put dead children on the news. So it's just an entirely irrational situation to believe that we can just sign a piece of paper and somehow that's going to make things better.
Yeah. Now, I imagine you guys have been watching what has been going on the border as well, and I'm kind of very interested in what your take is on what is currently going on our southern border.
Well, it's just a horrific situation to know that now we've gotten to a point where, our policy is so broken and so pathetic that if you can get your child across the border somehow, then they can try to find ways to help justify bringing you across. So sadly, the economy of Mexico and some other areas of the world have gotten so bad that this is what desperation leads to. And, our administration is not doing anything about it. The previous administrations for 50 years really hasn't done anything about it. We have such a broken system that, we talk about terrorism and security, but most of the terrorists and the threats to our country came here on student visas or a legal green visa, or actually immigrated through the Canadian border, not the Mexican border. You have two completely separated issues here. So I don't see anything changing anytime soon. It's one of the issues I think that's probably easiest to fix, because you can at least start to fast track citizenship. It's the same thing I feel the same way about adoption. You can't even afford to adopt a child, yet there's tons of children that need to be adopted, but you got to have a minimum of 40 grand in order to adopt a child. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, and it's only done through red tape and to keep attorneys making money.
Yeah. No. It's damn lawyers messing it up again. Now, one of the things that you put on here that you have on the Global Dispatch is, I saw this, Minnesota's bar Louis posts a new dress code, and the dress code is called racist. And now I want to read, because I don't know if you're looking at I don't know, are you looking at it right now of what this said?
I don't have it in front of me, but I know enough about, you can read the actual quote right off the sign that we have it kind of bullet pointed for you.
Yeah, and what it has is, it says, this is what you're not allowed to wear: flat-billed hats, large chains, sleeveless undershirts, long white T-shirts, athletic apparel, sports jerseys without collars, excessively baggy clothing. What was your take on this one? I'm just curious.
Well, the interesting part that made this newsworthy was how much a couple of folks were interviewed by the local press, and it had become an anti-black stance. And culturally, I don't know if you can probably speak to this as well. I know I have. Is dress code's kind of gone out the window. It used to be when we were growing up, you had to wear certain clothes to go out to certain types of restaurants, certain types of things. It's become like a free-for-all. And I do get the sense that that's what the ownership is trying to do here, to say this is the appropriate dress code. But I love the fact that it's, everything has to be about race, because you say baggy clothes and chains. So really it shows about the racism, the people that they interviewed, because as I think we pointed out in the beginning of the story, what was there was, I don't think this includes Justin Timberlake and the Justin Biebers and all the others that are white kids that dress pretty much the same way.
Oh, yeah, no, look, this is a style. I mean, this style transcends color.
Thick chains and a tank top. That sounds like most Italian men do.
Yeah, that could be a biker. and athletic apparel. That could be an Italian guy.
And I think it's more racist to say that such a dress code only pertains to black people. Are you saying black people can only dress this way, and it's only black people that do it?
You can only have large jewelry if you're black.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is this. Look, if this place wants to have a dress code, and this is the stuff they want to ban, more power to them if that's what they want to do. If you don't like it, don't go
there.
Like, if that's you realize that if you wear those things, the people that own this place don't want you there. Go down the street to somewhere else, man, that wants your business, man. Somebody will be there to open up to say, come on in. You know what I mean? And look, if it said, again, I don't think this thing's racist at all. I don't even think it's even close to being racist, because I know I've seen just as many white people that are wearing this stuff as black people are wearing this stuff. You know what I mean? Even more so just because there's more white people, per capita, around. And a lot of them have been listening to Eminem and Timberlake and, these people. And they've seen the style. They like the style. They want to wear the style. Well, that style works out, but you ain't getting a bar of Louis with it. It's just the way it is. Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, go next door. Don't go to Bar Louie. I don't know what else there is to say about this. I mean, I think that's how you want to handle this. But, the point of the story is, people just start screaming race, and it's just so frustrating.
Well, yeah, no, and it's happening everywhere. It's like, this is like if you don't want to actually engage in an honest conversation, just call the person racist. You know what I mean? Just go, no, he's racist. No, he's racist. We watched it on, the immigration debate was happening. When you see immigration going on, if you're going one way or the other, you're racist, or you're, Hitler or whatever. It's an easy, cheap way to try to get out of an argument when you don't actually have the ability to craft a good argument.
Yeah.
But they use that tactic no matter what we're talking about, right? We saw the same thing when the Hobby Lobby verdict came down too, right? So you're homophobic and you're this and that because you agree, you think that the government shouldn't force Hobby Lobby to cover, basically IUDs and morning after pills. So because of that, you're a gay basher, you're a gay hater, you're a homophobe, whatever. So it's the same kind of tactic. It's just used in different ways.
Yeah. Oh no. It absolutely is. And here's the thing. And this is the part about the Hobby Lobby thing I think is funny. They're denying women coverage or women's. They're denying women choices. Hey man, I got news for you. They didn't go to where you can get those things and say you couldn't sell them there anymore. It just wasn't part of their damn insurance plan. There's a big difference between saying that we're going to ban. Look, if they wanted to put a bill that banned those things from people being able to buy those items, then I would have to go and say, yep, you are trying to, ban something. But, or stop the woman the right to choose, but stopping they're giving the company the choice of whether they want to pay for it or not. And there's a big difference there.
Yeah, there's a difference between not paying for it and denying access to it.
Well, and there's a big difference between a right and having to provide it for you. You have the right to deal with your doctor and choose what's right for you. And nobody is taking that right away from you. But that doesn't mean someone has to provide it for you. Providing it for you is not a right.
Yeah. No. I'm with you 100% on that. That's why this thing, when it goes down left versus right, is very disingenuous. It goes down very disingenuously when it comes to the Democrats and the Republicans on these things. And I think they do it on purpose. I think they do it to keep you just being in that fight, because at the end of the day, they're both robbing you blind. Now, one thing that you have on the top of the Global Dispatch, I guess we should have got to this first, but what you have up there is the Senate Intelligence Committee, CIA's free from criminal investigation?
Yeah, the DOJ has backed down now off of an investigation where we had Senate staffers who were taking what are classified documents for their appropriate committee members. The CIA, of course, responded by tracking these staffers. The DOJ had found out about all this, had opened an investigation, and after Dianne Feinstein came out and she's out against doing this, Brendan's out and he doesn't want them doing this, they've just kind of all buckled and folded up, packed up their tent, and no more DOJ investigation. Everybody gets to just be a criminal.
Wow. So, even the CIA can spy on the members of the Congress and the Senate, and there's no investigation that's going to happen. Boy, we are screwed, by the way.
Yeah, you can have a staffer go down and take a classified document. Because you're not following the appropriate protocols, the document may never get back into record, right? It's basically, that's why the protocols are there for even these committee members, because these are classified documents. So once they can leak out to the public, or they can just totally vanish. And because they had done this and they found out about it, CIA people are just tracking them, making sure most likely that they're trying not to, leak them to Russian officials or China officials or whatever. We know they're oversensitive because of the Snowden fiasco. But the DOJ finds out none of this is being done properly. No one's got warrants. No one's doing anything, correctly. And they just fold the tent up, go home. Nobody wants to call out the other group, basically.
Wow. That's another one, man, that's just crazy. It's just really, really crazy.
And by the way, that's not something the American press is, neither that nor the Britain story. Neither the American press is kind of ignoring both of those two stories, pretty much.
Well, why talk about something that's very important, when we have, what Beyonce is wearing, or some fake fight between two celebrities that you'll never know ever in a million years. And, those things are much more important.
Sarcastic, because everybody knows everybody's just sitting around trying to figure out where LeBron James is going to play ball. That's all that matters today.
Yeah. You're exactly right. That's exactly right.
Germany. Really,
I want to know what
Cup too.
I want to know what football team LeBron's going to play for in the next thing. He's either going to go to the Milwaukee Bucks or he's going to go to the Atlanta Braves.
I don't even know how to respond to such an ignorant statement. That's not even fair.
You know what? Honestly, I had to actually know a couple things to be able to make that ignorant of a statement, sir. So I am offended by your accusations. So I will meet you on the basketball field.
The Cleveland Indians and the Atlanta Braves both think you're racist by even including them in some way, shape, or form.
Oh God, that's too funny. I would laugh if it would not cause a cough riot.
I'm just saddened by the death of John Spinks.
Who in the hell is John Spinks?
The guitar player from the outfield. Come on, man.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Your ignorance on this is disheartening.
I apologize for my ignorance on this. Is there anything else pop culture related that would be really funny that we wouldn't give a crap about?
Probably not, but we are having a very busy weekend. This weekend we'll be finalizing all our interviews. We interviewed Colin Mockery and Brad Sherwood from Whose Line Is It Anywhere? That's kind of a fun little listen, so you'll be able to enjoy that. And some different folks from different shows. We got one of the actresses from Sullivan and Son and Murder in the First, Once Upon a Time, some stuff like that. So check it out. It's good stuff.
No, that's cool, man. That is actually really cool. The website is theglobaldispatch.com. His name is Brandon. The website, like I said, theglobaldispatch.com. Brandon, thank you so much, brother. It was nice to talk to you again, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Talk hard, bro.
Talk hard, man. Always nice, man. Brandon does have the unique responsibility, I guess you could call it that, of having to go in a lot of different mediums, including the pop culture medium.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the website does do a really good job of kind of like, for the most part, the website is a lot of, news and stories, but they also get into pop culture and interviews and everything. And, they have a really terrifying section on whatever new, plague is going around the country, at the world.
I thought you were going to say they have a terrifying section dedicated just to Florida.
No,
For a while, that was weird news.
A little bit. Yeah, outbreak news. That is one of those.
But it's like, whatever new disease is traveling around the world.
That is kind of a weird deal. So, a lot of different stuff, though, man. I always like that stuff. I really do find it funny that the Minnesota bar thing did make it in weird news, though.
Well, yeah, but at the end, it's like we keep relying on the, it's like, well, we were talking about the definitions before, is we keep defining words, we keep using words that don't really mean what people are saying.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, well, that's racist. No, it isn't. If they said only white people can come in here, that would be racist. That's called racist. But saying we don't want anyone in here that's wearing large chains or baggy clothes, not racist, because any race can wear those things. Any of them.
Yeah.
That would be prejudiced.
Right.
There's a difference between prejudiced and racist, and we're all prejudiced. As a matter of fact, it's how our brain operates. It's how we survive. It's how we function every minute of every day.
How we make
is
decisions.
all of our prejudices.
Yeah. Well, and here's the other thing, too, is that in Minnesota, like, Kirby Puckett's the only black guy in Minnesota anyway, and he doesn't wear that stuff. Like, he wears suits and ties and stuff, so it didn't really affect black people at all.
Yeah,
because it's Minnesota.
I do
Get the hood.
Kirby Puckett.
the fact that it's Minnesota, and they're like, you're just saying no black people. Are you kidding? All of Minnesota says that because no black people show up.
It's just South Canada, man. There's no black people.
Now, you do that. You pull that shit in Mississippi, maybe we're talking about something.
Oh, Bar Louie would be closed.
Bar Louie would never have that rule because the market would never dictate that they'd be allowed to do that.
Bar Louie would be out of business.
Bar Louie would be like, just try to wear a shirt. Like,
can you not carry a gun inside,
bring
please?
both shoes in if you don't mind. Have both shoes on. We
It'd
want
be like
people with
suggestions.
30% or more of your teeth left if you can handle it.
Yeah.
That's not to make fun of people from where did we say what I said? Mississippi. I'm sorry. It's too easy to make fun of you though. You're the poorest state and you have no legal recourse to get back at me anyway. It's not like you guys got lawyers in that state. Hold on, do we know anybody in Mississippi that's really going to get mad at us for saying this?
Yes.
Probably.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know what, dude? I apologize for my comments on Mississippi. I was seriously just trying to make a joke about the whole thing. There are some good people in Mississippi that do good work, and
that
God
we're
bless
very
them.
good friends with.
Oh, yeah, Jack. Yeah.
He went.
You know what? Jack might find it funny,
He
though.
says, "Is there anyone we know?" And I gave him that look, and he went, "Oh."
You don't even have to say it. Just think about it for a second.
Damn, Alex. You and your damn making fun of Mississippi. Oh, you know what? I'll make fun of Arkansas. No, we know people in Arkansas, too.
We know people
West
everywhere.
Virginia. I don't hardly know anybody in West Virginia.
It's West by God, Virginia.
West by God, Virginia. So.
I think we can make fun of people in Virginia. Doesn't even have to be West Virginia.
I would put open reign on the state of Virginia.
Yes.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, I can make fun of anybody north of Florida.
Well, yeah.
They're all too dumb to get out of the cold.
Yeah. You ain't in Florida, man. I don't even want to know.
Remember that map?
Only people
in the
smarter than us
winter?
are people in Belize.
That whole map in the winter where it showed like everything in blue, and then we were in red.
We are
and it's
not
like,
participating in December.
We are not participating in winter.
I wouldn't mind some global cooling right now, man. It's hot in this damn studio, though. I ain't gonna lie to you. Man, it sucks in this thing. All right, the phone number, 1-800-525-4032. That is 1-800-525-4032. The website, 1787network.com. No, what's that?
2 minutes
What time
early.
is it?
10:58.
This is a hard break.
Am I too late? Am I too early? What am I
A
doing?
little
You're
bit early.
Too early.
Little bit early.
I'm a little bit early.
It's okay though.
What?
It's okay.
That ain't cool.
Well, that's what we were thinking when we looked at each other and you were talking. We're like, well, that ain't cool.
I think we should call Yolanda.
A lot of men
Yinka
have
right
that
on the
problem.
air.
It's okay.
Hey, should we call Yinka right on the air?
You want to call Yinka
I will call Yinka right on the air.
and be like, where are all these people that live in Best Buy that are donating?
Yeah,
to
who
your
donated
campaign?
to your campaign? Come on.
Are we
let's tell her.
calling public policy polling today?
Are we doing that today?
I'm not sure.
I think we should. I think we
Okay.
should keep
All
up with it.
We got to do that real quick at the beginning of the next
Yeah, we'll
segment.
do it real
Yeah.
quick in the beginning. We'll go right into that part, and that'll be all right. So,
And then we'll talk about Somalia or whatever.
yeah.
Whatever.
Well, this
African
is we're doing
country.
we're doing a philosophical talk about libertarianism in Florida or in America. I think it's going to be a good time. Again, the website, folks, 1787network.com. Go there, click on the donate tab, and give us large amounts of money. Again, the website, 1787network.com. There is a huge red button on the side that says donate. Hit the button that says donate. Put an amount with a lot of zeros behind it.
And no decimals.
And make a donation. Anything under $10,000 and you're not trying hard enough. Just kidding.
He's kidding.
Actually, $20 in the pack of smokes will work for me. You're listening to Liberty Underground on 1787 Network.
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know, Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
mistaken. I believe in peace, but I won't be taken. I will not submit to authority of man. I'm ready to die, but not for a lie. See the signs appear. It's gonna happen here.
This is Liberty Underground with Alex Snicker, Danielle Alexandre, and Greg Bowen on the 1787 Radio Network.
Well, good morning, Clearwater, Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg. This is Alex, co-host, Liberty Underground. Along with me is the Duchess of Doing Stuff, Tribley's favorite libertarian, Danielle Alexandre. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Feeling good?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good.
Hey, it's good. You're doing good. Also, back from his duties as Prime Minister of the Sinister, Greg Bowen. How are you doing, sir?
Spectacular.
Doing good, huh?
Yeah.
Feeling good. All right. And if you would like to call the program today, the number is 1-800-525-4032. That is Refresh Telecom, 1-800-525-4032. Now, typically, on most of the shows that we do on Liberty Underground, that you hear on the Tan Talk Radio Network that we love so much, you will hear us talk about current events, news, things along those lines. Very rarely do we get in the philosophical discussion, and maybe not even philosophical, but maybe a wide-ranging libertarian kind of discussion. But we did have a caller last week, Pete, who did ask a question, and I believe that Pete asked it in a very honest way.
I think he did too, yeah.
And he did, he's like, well, I'm scared of libertarianism because it would look like Somalia. And that is something that you hear commonly, but you normally hear it because it's not being said in an honest manner. But Pete was asking the question in an honest manner,
right.
So I think that it deserves a response. And that I had so much respect for Pete asking the question that I didn't want to answer it right then and there on the spot because I didn't think it gave enough time for us to fully explain it with the time that we had. So we're going to dedicate this show, not the entire show, but a good portion of the show, to kind of answering Pete's question.
Right. Well, and I think...
And Pete, if you want to call in, wait till we're done, though, if you don't mind.
And I want to start with saying that libertarianism is not the same as anarchy. And I want to say that very, very clearly, only because we do get labeled as anarchists, like we don't want any government anywhere. And as much as... And I'll say this personally. My personal philosophy leans much more to a voluntarism or anarchist kind of place. But I don't believe that that's actually functional in a large society. I think that's great for a small little group of people of 10 or 15, 20, 50, 100. But once you get into a large country, voluntarism and like an anarchism would never work. It really will only work on a small scale.
For the same reason communism wouldn't work.
For the same reason communism wouldn't work. It's just not something that on a grand scale will ever work. There's always going to be natural leaders. There's always going to be natural followers. And if you have a system of no rules, of just complete anarchy, what will happen is that the ones that are leaders that are more corrupt or are willing to lead with not very pure intentions will lead. They will be followed by people who really didn't know any better. They're just natural followers. And that's where you'll have the situation go very badly. And that's why it will never work on a large scale. It will never work for a country. You need government. We would just like it to be as small as possible, to the point where government is there and exists to protect the rights of the people, so that nobody can fall under that. Well, they're a leader and they say so I'm going to, go out and, harm other people.
Yeah, and also the thing is that, and this is where we kind of, where it needs to be explained, is that we do feel, as libertarians, that each level of government serves a purpose, and that level of government should focus on that purpose and leave the rest of it to the other levels of government. So, and that's a good way of explaining it. Like the federal government, we feel, should do in essence, you could argue probably one of the most important jobs, but also the least when it comes to how it affects your daily life. Is that a fair way of saying it?
Yes, absolutely.
So when it comes to national defense, to defending our borders, to defending the rights of the citizens in this country, we believe in that. We believe that this country should be protected from outside forces coming in to try to do harm to American citizens. fair way of saying it, right?
Absolutely.
Now, there's other things that are written in the Constitution that shows the other things that you can that we should, that the federal government should do. Post office was something that was put in there. Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll go with that. Regulating the currency, gold and silver, making sure we have honest money, basically, was something that was in there, correct?
Well, yeah, and it was, and I do find that a nationwide currency is optimal. I don't believe the one that we currently have is serving us well, because it's not actual currency, it's actually debt. But I do think that having a standardized currency is optimal. I do believe that people should be able to transact in whatever they choose. So I think that competing currencies is not a bad thing. But I think having a national currency where there's a standard is not a bad thing. And I do think that that's a proper role of government.
Well, and you got to remember this too, is that one of the things that our representatives in Congress did is that they shirked their responsibility to the Fed.
Right.
Which we didn't have in the beginning of this country, and has contributed greatly to the downfall of this country. And that happened, over 100 years ago now. At this point, 1913 is the newest incarnation of centralized banking, and that was made under, what they did or why they passed the Federal Reserve Act. Actually, in a weird way, let me say it this way: they were trying to stop a problem, and they solidified the problem with what they did.
Right. Now, a central bank was actually instituted by Thomas Jefferson and quickly dissolved. He did not think that a central bank, and the country at the time did not believe that a central bank was optimal for the health of the country. It was dissolved very quickly, and then was we found kind of reinstated with the Federal Reserve Act in 1913.
Now, the first question that I want to ask, I'm going to ask both you and Greg, is the question that he asked. Or maybe it's a different way of asking it. Why is Somalia not the example?
Well, Somalia is actually an example of warlordism, not libertarianism. Somalia, after the Civil War, their government collapsed, and it has fallen to local control by warlords. The person who has the most guns says what's going to happen. There is no protection to anyone's rights. There is no protection from force or fraud from anyone. If you live in this area that this warlord controls, you do as he says, or he kills you, or his men kill you, or if you're a woman, they may take you and rape you and then kill you. They do whatever they want with you. There is no protection on your rights or your property. It is the warlord who has control. And that is exactly what's happening in Somalia.
Well, and I think that this is why I wanted to start with saying that we're not anarchists, because I think what you're seeing in Somalia is because of when there was the fall of the government through the Civil War, and in that kind of, there was no restructuring of any type of government that would be there to protect the rights of the citizens. And it went to a place where it was, number one, tribally a very unstable place to begin with, even with a government. So you had some tribal issues that were going on in the country already, a civil war that took away any kind of protection of the people, and now you have what is, in essence, in a lot of parts of their absolute anarchy, where you do have the people who are natural leaders that have bad intentions ended up leading by gunpoint, and other people either followed voluntarily because they're just natural followers, or followed out of fear. But that's where you have a situation where if you had a government who was there to protect the rights of the people against force, fraud, coercion, anything like that, where your rights were protected, you wouldn't see what's happening in Somalia. That's a completely different system set up than what libertarianism is. Okay, now, and I'm going to play a little devil's advocate today, so I don't want you guys to think that this is what I believe, but I'm just going to play a little devil's advocate today. Well, why would America not fall into that trap if we started instituting the policies that the Libertarian Party would want to institute? Go ahead, Greg.
Well, because the Libertarian Party does not believe in dissolving and removing the Constitution. The Libertarian Party does believe in enforcing the Constitution and a rule of law of the using the Constitution as our basis of law. There may be members of the Libertarian Party or certain individuals who argue that the Constitution is no good, but for the most part, that's our stance. That the Constitution.
The majority of the libertarians believe that we should have a constitution.
Right. So the Constitution is there. It defines what the government is, what they are allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do, what the rights of the people are that the government is not allowed to infringe upon, and so on and so forth. And that is a major difference between what's going on in Somalia and what we would want here if we had our druthers.
And also we believe in, like you said before, in the levels of government. So while we feel like the federal government should have a very, very small scope, and literally only to national defense and maybe, a standardized currency, trade between the states that, maybe that they could come in and kind of negotiate that. Other than those very, very small limited things, that they really wouldn't have the power. Your state would have a little more, and that your local government, because that's the closest to the people. I mean, most people have access to their city council person, their county commissioner, things like that. These are people that you know in the community. And that at that point that you've really kind of come together as a community and said that as a community, we would like to have these things run by these people, and that community has every right to do that. But if your community, say our city, wanted a library, but the city next to us the people said, no, we don't want to pay for a library, that would be their right too. But that it would be these little pockets and little communities that would be able to decide what they provide for the people and what they don't. And that free market of, well, I can just move over there if libraries are important to me, or I can move out of this place if I don't want to pay for libraries because I'm only moving, 10 miles down the road, that makes it to where the ideas that are best, the ideas that govern best, are the ones where naturally people flock to, and that you'll see more municipalities and counties and states go to those ideals because that tends to work better for the economy and to make people prosperous.
All right, next question. Now, you guys are really just pawns for the corporations anyway with advocating what you're advocating. Is that what you're saying is you're going to give corporations all the power to do whatever it is that they want to do, and you're not going to give us, the people, any legal recourse through our government to do anything about it. You're going to give all the power to the corporations. What's the response to that? Again, I don't believe that. Right. I want to make that clear. I don't believe that, but I'm giving you what I've heard in the past as to, maybe level one kind of answers to this, or to questions to this. But what's your answer to something when it comes to you're going to give corporate control to the oligarchs?
Libertarians actually believe in a very, very strong judicial system that would protect your rights against force, fraud, coercion, and things like that. And that also would protect you from corporations. Right now, what we have is a government protection of corporations that if they have frauded the people, that if they have caused harm to the people, there's actually a government protection there that they won't lose their business. So when they do this kind of risk assessment, well, I can lower my cost, and yes, it'll be a little bit of fraud on the people, but it'll lower my cost, and the hit on it may, because of this government mandate, I'm only going to lose $10 million if I get caught. Where we would take off that government protection of the corporations, where if they caused harm, they forced, or they, were doing practices that were force or fraud, that literally a single person could go to a very strong judicial system and literally put them out of business because of it. That could win such a large amount that a jury of their peers could literally bankrupt a company for having these unsavory practices. Where right now that doesn't go on because we've literally had government put caps on what a corporation's liability is against force and fraud. And we would actually remove those government caps so that ultimately the people and the market would decide that if a corporation is doing things by force or by fraud, that they could go to a very strong judicial system. That judicial system could punish that corporation to the point of extinction, so that it wouldn't be in the best interest of a corporation owner to do those things, because the risk to losing their business and their livelihood would be far greater than what they would save by doing those things in the first place.
Greg, corporate stooge?
Well, actually, and I differ from a lot of libertarians here. This libertarian actually believes we should return to the way the country operated at its founding, whereas corporations must be chartered. And that charter must be renewed annually by the people, the government, when the people are running the government, and the government finds that the corporation is not acting in the best interest of the people, where it is defrauding people, or for whatever reason, it is not acting in the best interest of the people, and the government does not renew that charter, and that corporation no longer exists. We don't have any means of fighting the corporations because the corporations own the country now. So,
But because they own the government.
well, I would argue that they own the entire country, not just the government, but
Okay.
everything else.
Okay, no.
They own the media, they own the property, they own everything. They own the country.
Well, yeah, five corporations own 90% of the media.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So these corporations, there's no accountability for them. There's no means for the people to stop them from doing anything. I don't believe that one person can bring the downfall of a major corporation. I don't think that, for example, the Deepwater Horizon spill, without any kind of other things in place, that one person suing BP could bring the whole thing down and stop them from any further oil spills or whatever. I don't think that is an effective means of holding these people and these corporations accountable. I think corporate charters, the way we started and what was intended, would have been better. Corporations very quickly took control of the government and got rid of those, so they're no longer held accountable. They can do whatever they want as long as they buy the right politicians. They can go on doing whatever they want forever.
Okay. No, it's good that we're getting different viewpoints on this as well. So the next one is, and again, I'm going to give you guys just different things, and you guys can go with it from there. I think this is a good way to do it. In essence, you guys are racists because you guys are. I know it's going to sound funny, but I'm going to be specific on this one. You guys are racist though because you guys would allow people to be racist. You would be okay with that if a business owner wanted to deny somebody the rights to go into their establishment because they were black or Hispanic or whatever, that you would actually not want to put that. You would be supportive of that, I guess you could say.
Do you have anything in place now that's going to stop anyone from being a racist? You're going to say, I allow people to be racist. How do you stop them from being racist?
Well, it's,
I don't believe it.
Well,
I wouldn't know what the answer to that question
well,
is.
that's my honest rebuttal. I don't allow anyone to do anything other than myself. What other people do is their decision, their responsibility, and we cannot be responsible for the thoughts of others.
Well, I don't think we can legislate the thoughts of others. You know, you may force a person to have a certain person in their establishment, but to me, that only furthers their hatred of that race or that person. I don't think these civil rights acts have actually done anything to help with racism. I actually think it's extended the hatred, because if you already have a prejudice or are bigoted against a group, having that group forced upon you isn't going to make you like them more. It's going to actually reinforce that hatred. Where if you're if you're not forced to have someone in your establishment, but other people aren't forced to frequent your establishment because of your ideals, what happens is it is in your best interest to not have those, to not discriminate. You know, if you're, we've talked about this with the bakers that don't want to bake a cake for certain, ceremonies for gay couples. At the end of the day, in that city, if they're the only baker, guess what? The market will demand a new baker, one that provides for everyone. And the baker that isn't providing will lose business. And that's just the way market works, because all people, when you take them collectively, people in generally don't want to deal with people that do business by hate. And as long as they know that you do business by hate, even though you're not necessarily hating against me, I'll find another place to do business with. But when you force people onto other people, you're not ever going to legislate away their hate. You're actually reinforcing their hatred.
All right, well, I got a follow-up question for you on this one. So let's say a company came out and was saying that we're not going to let black people in our establishment. What are you going to do about it?
Well, I'd be the first one to create an establishment in the same business that would be catered to all people, so that black people would have a place to go and that I would become very popular and rich.
Greg?
Well, I would say that if it, in my perfect world, I would say these people can then petition their government to review their charter and whether or not it would be renewed.
Well, see, hold on a second, though. Hold on a second now. I think there's a little bit of a difference there, though. You're not forming necessarily a corporation if you're just a small mom and pop establishment. If you're just a business owner, that would not fall under the purview, I don't think,
Of a corporation.
Of a corporation.
Depends on what the state law is.
Okay. All right. No, fair enough.
Because these corporate charters
Like,
are
would
done
you
at
have
federal,
anybody-
state, and local
Well,
levels.
would you have? So you would have everybody, no matter what business that they operated. Like if me and Danielle wanted to open up, Alex's and Danielle's Pop-Tart factory, and it was a restaurant that actually served Pop-Tarts all the time, and that's all we did, and we were just one location. Would we have to go and form a corporation?
Not necessarily. That would be up to the people of the state or local government as to what they've decided.
Now, let's say that we're fitting under this, and we don't have that corporate charter thing. What would you do then?
But I think Danielle's solution is probably the easiest one. Create a competitive business or protest the one that you don't like.
I got you. Yeah, let me take off the devil's advocate hat for a second and put on the libertarian hat for a second here. Matter of fact, hold on.
You actually have the libertarian hat, literally.
Okay. All right. So that's what it is. It's the First Amendment. If somebody has the First Amendment right to be a racist, then you have the First Amendment right to expose that racism and to call them out for it and to shun them and to get them closed down, because that's the only thing that'll get people to change their behavior, is that the people in mass are saying, no, we're not going to do that.
Well, I think what
Let me take my hat back.
I think what it comes down to is, listen, if there's a large marketplace that is being discriminated against in a business, that's a large marketplace to market a business to. And so whoever is not getting what they need from that business, that creates an opening for someone who really could care less but just wants to make money, opens a business and caters to that group or to all groups, because there's a hole in the market.
Yeah. All right. Next question, or next thing. Look, you people, you libertarians, want to get rid of all of the social welfare programs because you're uncaring and you just want people to die. That these social programs are needed, and you guys want to get rid of these programs and you want people to die.
Well, I want to start by saying I don't
Damn
want to end any social program tomorrow. I think that we've become a country that is relying on these things, and that many people across the country are relying on these things to survive, and that has to be phased out while we're making a stronger economy for them to survive into. So, it has to be a transition. I would not ever advocate for ending these systems tomorrow and just cutting them off. I think that would create much more chaos than it's worth.
But hold on, I don't want to do this to you, but I got to say this to you for what you just said. But eventually you want to cut them off, though.
And I do want to transition people off of them. But this is why. And it's not because I don't believe in helping people. It's that I don't see sending $1 to government to get to pay large six-figure salaries to many, many people to transition down to giving a quarter to someone in need. And that's what I don't find that to be help. I find it to be helpful when I can go to a person in need and give them $1. And that to me is much more help than padding the six-figure salaries of bureaucrats that say that they're trying to help but are getting rich off of our dollars and not providing not nearly enough of the actual help that people who need it for them to get.
But what you're advocating for means people are going to fall through the cracks. How do you answer that question?
People are falling through the cracks now, and some of that is just because they don't want the help, and some of it is just because we're a country that absolutely cannot get to every single person if they don't say I need help, or if there's going to be those things that happen because they've always happened. You can create the largest socialized system in the world, and you have that in places like England, where everybody gets healthcare, everybody gets retirement, everybody gets a lot of these social programs, but at the end of the day you still see homeless people on the street, not because the programs don't exist, but because some people will always fall through the cracks of every single system.
Well, again, I agree with Danielle here. I'm not.
Should I let you go first next time? Because she's stealing your thunder. I see that. I see that already.
No, it's okay.
She's reading your mind, taking your words, and saying them.
Well, there's a lot of consistency through a lot of libertarians' thought processes, so that's why. And actually, this libertarian, social welfare programs are the least of my concern. Right. And quite frankly, you put an end to the military-industrial complex and American imperialism. You get us a sound monetary policy. You get a lot of these other unnecessary and unchecked government programs in place. We have plenty of money for our social welfare programs, and they can run just fine and help as many people who need it, and we'll have money left over. So, quite frankly, with a responsible government, I don't necessarily have a problem with social welfare programs. We don't have a responsible government. I don't trust these people with a potato gun, let alone a $1 billion budget.
That dude just said potato gun. All right, hold on. Let me put my libertarian
Go
hat
ahead,
on.
put
first.
your libertarian hat on.
All right, hold on. Oh, hold on. There it goes. Libertarian hat back on. The other thing is this, and I think this is to go to Greg's point, is that the number of people that would be in need of these programs would be far less and way more manageable and cost us way less money than what we're currently spending right now because the economy would be fixed.
Yes.
Is that another point you were trying to...
Yeah, absolutely.
There wouldn't be the devaluation of your dollar, where a loaf of bread wouldn't the price of a loaf of bread wouldn't rise every single year to the point where you can't afford it anymore. Prices would stay steady because you'd have sound money.
All right.
And when we talk about this, I feel it's disingenuous if we do not address the actual racism and what is actually going on. There is an effort. There is racism in this country. There is codified and ultimately implemented everyday racism in this country, and the black communities are quite often not represented in a good light by the politicians. There are a lot of examples of this. I lived in a neighborhood that was predominantly black. I went to school in that neighborhood. I also lived in neighborhoods that were all white, very wealthy, and went to school in that neighborhood. And there is a stark difference in the type of education that you receive in the one neighborhood compared to another. When the highest level math education that you can get in a poor black neighborhood is balancing your checkbook, there's a problem. There's a problem on the options that we're giving these people. The money that we are using for these programs is not being spent responsibly. That's why we have huge disparities between different cultures and different people. These people, people in black neighborhoods are targeted more by police. There are more police stings and operations going on in black neighborhoods. More black people get thrown in jail. These people now have a felony record. They can't vote. They can't get a job. There are a lot of factors going on in the pervasive underlying racism in this country that keeps minorities down. And if, to your point, we open up the government, we take out the corruption, we create more equal opportunity for these people, we don't have law enforcement that is focusing only on the black neighborhoods and putting black people in jail and taking away their rights, and then they will have the ability to make a better life for themselves, to create businesses, to get jobs, be participating members of society, be participating members of the economy, and all of us will prosper from it. And the need of social welfare programs lessens. Yeah. And then people who really are in trouble, not people who are in fabricated, sustained trouble by the government, are going to need them.
All right, so you corporate stooge, fascists, people that want to kill kids. My next question for you is this. Look, I've heard all the stuff that you guys have talked about, and of course it sounds all good in theory, but your practice, your philosophy has never really been implemented anywhere. Can you give any examples of where any libertarianism has actually gone on anywhere in the world? Other than like some far off land or like some far off world somewhere where you can't tell me where it is. It's like you'll have that girlfriend in Canada. She's not real. We know she's not real. But the point is, where has this happened where has libertarianism gone on in the world?
Well, I can say that there's several places where it is rising, and that you'll see parts of our philosophy all over the world. But even in a place like in Georgia, and I don't mean the country, I actually mean our own state of Georgia, there is a city that's actually a very middle-sized city. It's not small, but it's not, like a metropolis. But they have literally privatized everything except for the necessary functions of government. And the city is being on the rise as one of the most prosperous in the state. So you definitely see these things going on where when you instill some of the more libertarian principles, that area becomes more prosperous. And if you were to look all over the country, there's little pockets of things that have gone on. There are people now, there's actually a floating barge that they have made into an island that is a complete, libertarian. They're actually trying to become their own country. And they actually are very prosperous, very, very prosperous. There's no need for welfare programs and things like that because they're on a system where if you work hard, you succeed, and that they've taken out the government impediments on charity so that people who are in need can be helped by the people.
Bless you.
Greg?
Well, actually...
Corporate stooge?
Actually, in Chile... there was what is called the libertarian experiment. A lot of people call it the failed libertarian experiment, and I think that ultimately everything goes in cycles, and libertarianism will go in cycles as well. And the libertarian in Chile was kind of a victim to that cycle, as well as a lack of full implementation. But ultimately, you give people a democratic society, they're going to vote themselves out of freedom. They're going to vote themselves into tyranny just naturally. Because people tend to want to react to things. One story gets drummed up and they want to do something about it. And nobody can think of anything to do but make a law. So ultimately... I would say that the United States started out as a very libertarian society. We didn't call it that at the time, but I would say that when you look at the three libertarians in this room and what we support and the things that we talk about and how we hearken back to the founding and to those founding documents so often, I think it's safe to say that the founding of our government in the early years of the United States was one that we could consider libertarian. And it ultimately did not stay that way because people voted themselves out of it, just as they did in Chile. Not everyone's going to hold the same beliefs. People are going to disagree. Some people aren't going to feel that freedom is the answer to this, that there need to be controls. And so you create a democratically elected government, and people are going to have the ability to vote themselves money from the government, vote themselves power and wealth and whatever. So libertarianism, just like authoritarianism, goes through cycles, and it's not going to last forever. And there's a cycle within humanity towards authoritarian tyranny and freedom. Basically, we go towards tyranny. We get to a point where the people can't take it anymore. We have a revolution. We reboot it back to the people's acceptable level of freedom and liberty, and then they start implementing a government, and then they start voting themselves out of freedom and vote themselves into tyranny, and the cycle starts all over again. And whatever form of government you're using for that, whether it's a republic, whether it's a communist or socialist or even a theocracy, any form of government is ultimately going to start giving itself more and more power, and it's going to grow to a tyrannical size. The people are going to have to rebel against it, and the cycle starts over again.
Yeah, I mean, you see a place like Ireland that was actually very libertarian at the start, and was very prosperous and things like that. But because of they had a lot of pressure from countries around them, obviously England and things like that. So the people, out of fear, were willing to give up some of these libertarian ideals and things because they thought, well, we need to protect ourselves. And obviously we're taken over by England and now kind of assimilated into there. So, it has worked in the past and it's worked very well, but sometimes fear overcomes, good intentioned people.
Well, and also, I put my libertarian hat on real quick. Also, many of the very large philanthropic, is that the right word, philanthropic?
Yeah, you did good.
Philanthropic
Quarter
organizations, that is a quarter word, by the way. Many of the philanthropic organizations were actually put out during these times of great, where the government wasn't involved in a lot of things, because it was something to where people understood that were people of means, that there was that need out there, and that they donated large amounts of their money in order to fill the need. Mm-hmm. Which is a good thing at the end of the day, and I think that that's what you want to see. And a lot of people that are people of wealth and are people of means can voluntarily give their money up, and there are many examples of people being charitable. Now, you'll find examples of people being greedy, but you will find many more examples of people being very open with that. Now, don't get me wrong; they treat it kind of like a game. Like for the first 50 years, they get as much money as they can, and then at a certain point, they just start opening up charity organizations. You know what I'm saying? You see that with who was the guy that was up against Ford and it was Ford. It was Rockefeller and Rockefeller. You know, foundations and stuff like that were out there. That
Gave away most of his fortune.
Now, don't get me wrong; he's done a lot of bad things too.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. But at any rate, let's take a break real quick, though. And when we come back, we're going to talk about your representative, David Jolly, and we'll finish the discussion on libertarianism in today's age, and to answer the questions from the people that would have questions like I'm asking these people. You're listening to Liberty Underground. We'll be back.
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
All right, we're back, Liberty Underground, along with the we're asking the questions here. So, one other question I have for you. You know, you guys in your libertarianism and whatever, you guys sound, you sound like you got all the answers to everything. But how are you ever going to implement the stuff that you're talking about?
Well, there's a few ways that we can go about this. We can elect responsible representatives that are going to lead us a more libertarian direction. Or we cannot do that, continue down the road of tyranny, and follow our cycle to its logical and consistent conclusion, which is violent revolution.
Yeah, and that is, I mean, what happens, and when Greg was talking about this being cyclical, what happens is the cycle goes where, you know, people with good intentions are willing to give up some of their essential freedom, and there's always people willing to take it. And then eventually, you know, that gets to a boiling point. I think in our country, we still have time to kind of move back and you know, kind of progress to the point where we are looking at how to be more free instead of being less free. And I think that we're at a place where I think we're at a tipping point in our society where people are looking at that and are willing to start to look at how can we change laws to roll back some of the things that have put government as an obstacle in our way. They're not willing to go all the way back, but I think you'll see that over time that, you know, when you oppress a people, they will naturally have a pushback. And I think that that's where what you're seeing now. I think that, you know, in a few election cycles, we'll start to see things kind of, you know, we'll start to see a lessening of government, people not standing, not being willing to have so much government in their lives. And if it doesn't, you know, start to trend backwards where government is getting less, then eventually in a generation or two, I fear that we will have a revolution because oppressed people will always stand up at some point.
Yeah. Now, first off, let me just say that the questions that I asked to you guys is not a reflection of Pete, by the way. So I don't want Pete to think that you would ask some of the dumb questions that I asked. But I thought it would give you a roundabout viewpoint that you would be able to at least kind of see where we were coming from on some of these things. But again, that's not to denigrate what Pete was saying because, you know, Pete was asking an honest question. And I kind of went a little bit over to go through a lot of different things on things that I think that you may have said it in a much more eloquent way than I did. But you may have asked some of these questions when it came to social nets and programs and corporations and things like this. And then let me answer this question. The last question I asked, I want to answer it because I put my libertarian hat on here. The biggest problem we currently have right now when it comes to government and politics is corruption. Is that the corruption is the real problem. Look, they get us back and forth on all these other issues, when in all reality, the biggest problem we have right now is a lack of honesty and massive, massive amounts of corruption. The first thing that I think, and I haven't always believed this, but I do believe it a lot more now than I did even previously, we have to address the corruption. We have to eliminate the corruption before we can even get started down a path towards, you know, more freedom anyway, because a lot of these laws that were set up are set up in order to feed the corruption. You know what I mean? They make laws like what Rick Scott did with the drug testing. Right. Look, that was set up to fund his drug testing labs. I mean, that's what it was there for. It wasn't there to drug test people that were getting welfare, you know, by being on drugs. That's not what it was there for. It was there just to fund, you know, Rick Scott. So what we have to have is we have to have honest representation first and foremost in every level of government. And that, look, if you don't have a libertarian on the ballot, then you need to find whoever's the most honest guy that's running for office and vote for that person. You know, again, you want somebody that's going to represent your principles, but the number one principle at this point that we're lacking in government is honesty. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that are Democrats and Republicans that are in political office, not a lot, but there's a couple here and there, that are honest players. And that those honest players, in lack of, if it's, let's say, let's David Jolly against Lucas, right? Well, let's say you're a Democrat. And you're like, well, he's not, an anarchist like Lucas is. I mean, Lucas is not an anarchist by any stretch of imagination. But why would you pick between those two? And the reason that you would pick Lucas between those two for any other, if you took everything else out of it, if you took all the other, where they stand on the issues out of it, if you took everything else out of it, is that David Jolly has already proven himself to be dishonest. Mm-hmm. He's already done it. He did it to his own people. He did it to Bill Young's wife. He did it to, the staff that was there. He's been doing it for a long time. He is a dishonest person. Lucas has shown himself to be a very honest person in this race. And that for no other reason, if you disagree with Lucas on 80% of the stuff that he stands for, at least know that between the two, that Lucas will tell you where he's at on the issues. Same thing goes with Adrian in the governor's race. Same thing goes with Bill, and same thing goes with Tony Casso, with almost every libertarian that's running for office. Every libertarian I know of in Florida that's running for office right now, that's on the ballot, they're definitely more honest than their counterparts. By default, by being in the party itself, you're showing you're honest because you're not dishonest enough to join one of those two other parties. But let's give the governor's race, Adrian's race. Charlie Crist and Rick Scott, there is no way that that anybody can make an argument that these two people are honest. You cannot make that argument with a straight face. I don't care if you're a Democrat and you're like, well, yeah, but Rick Scott's way worse than Charlie Crist is. And if you're a Democrat or a Republican, you go, yeah, but Charlie Crist he's a liar and a thief and all the other kind of stuff all day long. He's much worse than Rick Scott. You can have a perspective or an opinion that says one of them may be more corrupt than the other. But you cannot, in good conscience, say that one of them is not corrupt.
I think if you were to ask either of them if they were liars or corrupt, they'd have to plead the fifth.
I really do think that's... No, I think that if they were honest, what you need in every level of government right now is honest players. You need people that are going to not agree with you, that will tell you that they don't agree with you, explain to you why they don't agree with you, but do it in an honest and upfront way. That's the first thing we got to fix. In my opinion, before you do anything else, you got to have honesty up there, because that's the only way you're going to get things done. But I think the honest, logical conclusion to many of these things is that these programs haven't helped. They've only hurt. And that if we get rid of the federal ones first and let the states, deal with it as they need to deal with it, and then move that stuff to a local level, start the process that was started back in 1913 of going much more towards a socialistic system, to go back to much more of a localized governmental system, that you would have much better. But we got to quit electing guys that are not honest, though. You got to stop voting for the lesser of two evils. You got to start voting principle. And you know what? There may be a race where the Green Party candidate is the best candidate. You know what? That's the case, and vote Green. There may be the MPA. Look, go to the Division of Elections in your area for the people you're going to vote for your offices, and go find the MPAs. Go find, go interview all of them. Interview the Democrat, interview the Republican, interview the MPA, and do not make any predeterminations upon your vote. Find who you think is the best one, the most honest one, and vote for that person. You're going to make mistakes. You will be snowed over every once in a while. But you will learn, and having an educated public that is actually understanding of the political process and that understands basic civics and the proper role of government will fix this country, and it will get us towards the path of going more libertarian, because that should be the natural course of man. I know that we voted for tyranny in the past, but many times the vote for tyranny is done because the politicians were dishonest. And that people were not trying to vote for those things, but the unintended consequences of those things ended up being a lot worse than what had happened. And they created the emergencies, they created the disaster, and then they brought a solution to fix that disaster. But at the end of the day, I think many of these reasons were founded on a basis of dishonesty, and that you need honesty back in government in a very major way.
Well, I agree with what you're saying. I don't think it's the first step, because I think that's several steps behind what we have to accomplish first. I totally agree with a lot of things Plato said, one of them being the price good men pay for indifference to public affairs is to be ruled by evil men. We cannot get to what you're saying while we have a corrupt media that misleads the people and keeps the people intentionally ignorant to what's going on. It's a twofold problem. We have people who don't care and people who do care and are being intentionally misled or kept ignorant.
I'll let you finish, but I do have a response for that.
So I think the first thing we need to do is actually what we are doing right here. Take back the media, take back the conversation, at least be a part of the public conversation. Allow differing views to be a part of the public conversation. Debate them on their merits. Debate them on whether they're good or bad, put them in front of the people, and honestly allow the people to know what is truly going on in this country. Because we've talked about this a lot before. Whenever there's a big scandalous story in the news, ignore it and look for what's really going on, because they are distracting you from the big story, the real story that you really need to be worried about. And we can't change that corruption and get better representatives while we have a system of control, mostly through manipulation of the media, that prevents people from even knowing that that's the problem.
No, that's a very good point, by the way, Greg, and I do like that you brought this up. And I wanted to say one thing. What you have noticed with big corporate media, though, is that their audience has been shrinking.
Yes.
So they have been moving towards alternative media already. However, the problem that we're running into as alternative media, and this is the problem that happens with a lot of this stuff, comes down to the funding. You got to remember, these shows don't happen because some pharmaceutical company is giving us money for ads. This thing doesn't happen because we have all the big corporations that are giving us money. We're not getting that money. In some ways we're worse than PBS
because we're spending money.
Because we're spending our own money. Like it costs us money to go on the air every week to come out here and do this. And not just us. There's a lot of people even on Tan Talk 1340 that do independent shows that are not owned by anybody. You need to support those shows. Not just myself. I mean, look, you want to give us money, 1787network.com. Big red button says donate. Go ahead and do that there. However, more importantly than that, support local media. Just like we say support local businesses, support local media. Support the people that are out there just trying to give you the news. That's very important to be able to do, because the more that happens, that means the more that we change how we get our news, and that also puts more honesty out into the media, which, to Greg's point, which you actually raised a very good point, Greg, you corporate shill.
Yeah, because that was a corporate shill point.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Greg,
I know.
But that's right, though. But that is a very good point, by the way. Danielle, go ahead.
Don't know.
Oh, I thought you had something that you wanted to say as well. My bad. So I hope that, and we didn't really get to the Jolly stuff. We do got a couple minutes left. Do you guys want to do the Jolly thing real quick?
Yeah.
I mean,
do we have enough time to?
Yeah, I mean, I can go through this quickly. There was an amendment. It was actually put up by Representative John Fleming from Louisiana, and what this would do would ban federal funds from being used for red light cameras, the license plate readers, and the speed cameras, so the ones that are there, and then we'll give you the speeding tickets. This would still allow your state to have them, counties, municipalities, but this would ban federal funds for being used on them. The amendment actually was approved, 255 to 171 in the House. But in Pinellas County, the newly elected junior House of Representative rep, David Jolly, voted no.
With who?
He voted no with Corinne Brown, Kathy Castor, Patrick Murphy, Alcee Hastings, Theodore Deutsch, Louis Frankel, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Frederica Wilson, Mario Diaz-Balart, Joe Garcia. All Democrats.
Frederica Wilson's hat, though, just voted present. She didn't vote for it or against it.
Mario Diaz-Balart and David Jolly were the only ones in Florida, the only Republicans in Florida to vote with the Democrats. And only one Democrat voted for it, and that was Alan Grayson.
I think all the Democrats saw was banning the use of federal funds and voted against it. They're like, no, you got to use federal funds.
You're saying Grayson actually read it?
Grayson actually did read it correctly. Grayson is a big civil liberties guy, though. I mean, unless you're his wife. But but he's, when it comes to civil liberty legislation, he generally goes on the right side. He likes big spending government, not so much intrusive on your rights government. Like I said, unless you're his wife. And
I got
then
you.
he
No, absolutely. Now, and this is David Jolly, folks. Again, this is the record. This is what he voted on. This is what, the people that got this guy elected into office, this is the kind of people that you're supporting. Here's the thing, you can correct the error very quickly. You don't have to wait 2 years to do it. You can go ahead and vote in November for Lucas Overby, because Lucas is the only candidate that it will be on the ballot against David Jolly.
So there's no split the vote argument.
There's no splitting the vote argument here. All that's out the window. No Democrats in the race. It's Lucas against Jolly, and you need to vote accordingly. If you're a person that wants to have your civil liberties protected, I really don't see there being any option other than Lucas Overby for your vote. But that's the show today, guys. The website, 1787network.com. Go there. Again, big red button says donate. Go ahead and make a donation to the show. We'll be much appreciative of that. And we will see you guys next week. Again, the website, 1787network.com. Have a great day.